The ancients taught that the universe is not a collection of things, but a symphony of thought. They believed that what you hold in your mind, with feeling and conviction, you will soon hold in your hand. This truth has echoed through the ages, passed down in hushed tones and sacred texts. Yet, they left out the most crucial secret, the silent key that unlocks the entire kingdom. It is not the thought itself that creates, but the sacred silence from which that thought is born. We live in a world that shouts, it screams for your attention. It preaches the gospel of more, of faster, of louder. It tells you to hustle, to grind, to force your will upon the world. It hands you tools of affirmation and visualization, and tells you to shout your desires into a storm of inner and outer noise. And so you try, you chase, you strain, you wrestle with your own mind, trying to force it to be positive, trying to paste pictures of abundance over a deep-seated feeling of lack. But the true wealth you seek, the deep, unshakable gold of peace, of purpose, and of effortless prosperity, remains elusive. It feels like a distant shore you can see but never reach. Why? Because you are trying to build a castle on the surface of a raging sea. You have been taught to focus on the waves, but you have forgotten the vast, silent, powerful ocean beneath. This journey we are about to embark upon is different. It is not a list of things to do. It is an invitation to undo. It is a path that leads not outward into more action, but inward into the profound stillness that is your source. We will journey together into the great silence, a space within you that the world has taught you to fear, for it is empty of distraction. But this emptiness is not a void. It is the womb of all potential. It is the fertile soil where the seeds of intention, when planted in peace, grow into mighty realities without struggle. In this silence, we will discover how to manifest gold, not just the metal, but the golden frequency of your true self, the frequency of wholeness, of worthiness, of infinite supply. This is not a lesson, it is an initiation. So find a place where you can be undisturbed. Let the noise of the world fade away. Take a slow, deep breath and step through the door. The silence is waiting. Before you can hear the golden silence of the cosmos, you must first become aware of the music you are already playing. Right now, within the vast cathedral of your being, an orchestra is performing. It has been playing for so long that you have mistaken its sound for the sound of life itself. You believe its rhythm is the rhythm of reality, but it is not. It is the symphony of scarcity, and you are its sole audience. So for a moment, just listen. Do not judge. Do not try to stop it. Simply grant it your awareness. Can you hear it? It begins with the strings, the section of anxiety. The violins are high-pitched, soaring away with the endless, nagging questions of what if? What if the money runs out? What if this opportunity fails? What if I am making a mistake? What if they find out I am not as capable as they think? Each question is a frantic, worried note, played over and over again, creating a thin, unbearable tension in the air. A tension you feel in your shoulders and in your jaw. Beneath them, the cellos and double basses add their deep, resonant tones of dread. This is the sound of past failures, the low hum of old debts and remembered embarrassments. It is the feeling in the pit of your stomach when you think of the future, a dark, vibrating note of undefined catastrophe. This string section never truly rests. It is the background music to your days, the soundtrack to your commute, the first thing you hear upon waking, and the last thing that lulls you into a restless sleep. It convinces you that to be still is to be in danger, that to relax is to invite disaster. It is the sound of survival, played on instruments that were meant for creation. Then, listen for the woodwinds. This is the section of comparison, more subtle, but perhaps more poisonous. A lonely flute plays the melody of "They have more." You hear it when you scroll through the lives of others, a life curated to show only the sunlit peaks. Each image of success, each announcement of a new achievement, is a note from that flute, a sound that makes your own world feel smaller, dimmer. It is a beautiful, sorrowful tune that speaks of your own unique path as a place of lack. Close by, a melancholic oboe adds its harmony, the song of "I am falling behind." It whispers that time is running out, that others of your age have already built their kingdoms while you are still laying the first stone. It compares your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. This woodwind section does not shout. It seeps into your consciousness like a fog, coloring your perception, making you feel perpetually dissatisfied with the genuine miracles of your own existence. It makes a warm home feel inadequate, a loving relationship feel plain, a steady income feel like failure. It is the gentle, heartbreaking sound of you measuring your soul against a shadow. And then, the brass section erupts. There is no subtlety here. This is the sound of self-criticism, the voice of judgment. The trumpets blare with the force of absolute conviction, proclaiming you are not good enough. It is the sound that follows any mistake, no matter how small. It is loud, piercing, and full of shame. It announces your flaws to the entire inner world. You are not smart enough, not disciplined enough, not charismatic enough. Each note is a branding iron, searing a sense of inadequacy onto your spirit. Supporting the trumpets are the heavy, sliding trombones of regret. They play the sad, descending notes of "you failed again" or "you should have known better." They drag you back into the past, forcing you to relive your errors, not to learn, but to be punished. This brass section is the voice of the inner tyrant, the part of you that believes harshness is the only path to improvement. It believes that if it shames you enough, you will finally change. But it is a flawed strategy, for its noise deafens you to the very guidance that would lead you out of the pattern of mistakes. It is the sound of a war being waged against yourself. Finally, feel the percussion. This is the rhythm section, the relentless driving beat of impatience and urgency. A constant pounding drum provides the tempo. Not yet, not yet, not yet. It is the feeling that your happiness, your peace, your wealth is just around the corner, but you are not there yet. This beat creates a frantic energy, a sense of constant striving. It is the engine of the chase. Accompanying the drum are the clashing cymbals of "I need it now." Crash. An unexpected bill. Crash. A perceived slight. Crash. A goal that is not manifesting fast enough. Each crash is a jolt of panic, a shock to your nervous system, a stark reminder that you are not in control. This rhythm is exhausting. It is the rhythm of a heart that has forgotten its own natural, peaceful cadence. It pushes you to act from a place of desperation rather than inspiration. It forces you to make choices based on fear, not wisdom. It is the sound of a soul running a race with no finish line. This entire chaotic orchestra, this symphony of scarcity, seems to play on its own, but it does not. Every orchestra has a conductor, and the conductor of this one is a master. He stands at the podium, his back to you, and with every sweep of his baton, he calls forth these sounds of lack and fear. He knows the score by heart. He knows exactly when to bring in the worried violins, exactly when to unleash the shaming trumpets. His name is fear, primal, ancient fear. He is not a villain. In his own distorted way, he believes he is protecting you. He thinks this terrible noise will keep you alert, keep you safe from the dangers of the world. He thinks that if you ever stopped and allowed for silence, you would be devoured. He has conducted this symphony for so long, he has forgotten any other music exists. His sole purpose is to maintain this familiar, painful, yet predictable reality. For a long time, you have been lost in the music, a passive listener tossed about by its cacophony. But not anymore. By listening to it now, by identifying each section without judgment, you have done something profound. You have stood up from your seat in the audience. You have separated yourself from the noise. You are no longer the music. You are the one who is aware of the music. You can hear the individual parts. You can see the misguided conductor waving his arms with frantic passion. This awareness is the first great act of liberation. It is the beginning of the end of the symphony's power over you. Because a sound, once it is truly heard, begins to lose its unconscious hold. You have brought a candle into a dark room, and for the first time, you are beginning to see the shape of your own prison. Now that you have heard the orchestra and seen its conductor, a new question can arise. From where does this conductor, fear, draw his power? What is the musical score he is reading from, the one he follows so blindly? To answer that, we must turn our gaze from the orchestra itself and look toward the source of its terrible music. We must confront the very nature of the wanting mind. We have listened to the orchestra. We have seen the frantic conductor, fear, leading the chaotic symphony of scarcity. Now, we must ask the fundamental question: what is the musical score from which he reads? What is the architecture of this endless noise? The score is written by a single entity, the true tyrant of your inner world. It is the wanting mind. The root of all human suffering is not in not having what you want. The root of suffering is in the very state of wanting itself. It is a subtle but profound distinction. The universe does not punish you for your desires. Your desires, when they arise from a place of wholeness, are sacred whispers of your potential. But the mind, in its conditioned state, has turned the gentle art of creative desire into a brutal, relentless state of wanting. And this state is a prison. Imagine your mind as a restless monkey, a creature of pure, unthinking impulse. The ancient sages called it the monkey mind for a reason. This monkey lives in a vast jungle, an endless canopy of trees laden with fruit. The monkey is perpetually hungry. It leaps from a branch, snatches a gleaming piece of fruit, a new job, a sum of money, a word of praise, and for a fleeting second, it feels a jolt of satisfaction. But its jaws have barely closed on the first bite before its eyes have already spotted another, larger, shinier fruit on a distant branch. The first fruit, the one it holds in its hand, instantly loses all its flavor. It becomes an obstacle, a weight. The monkey drops it, half-eaten, and begins the frantic, breathless journey through the branches once again, its entire being consumed by the image of that next fruit. This is the tyranny. It is a cycle of endless pursuit and instantaneous dissatisfaction. The joy is not in the having. The entire energy is invested in the getting. And because the getting is a process that never ends, the monkey is condemned to a life of perpetual hunger, even in a jungle of infinite abundance. This monkey mind lives exclusively in the future and the past. It cannot, for it does not know how to, exist in the present moment. Its entire reality is constructed from two illusions: what I must get and what I failed to get. It projects a fantasy of peace onto a future condition. I will be happy when I have that money. I will feel secure when I get that recognition. I will finally relax when this problem is solved. Happiness becomes a destination, a place you must struggle towards. But the destination is a mirage. The moment you arrive, the moment the condition is met, the monkey mind simply moves the horizon. The goalposts shift, a new want is generated, and the frantic journey begins anew. The wanting mind is a masterful architect of if-then scenarios for happiness, but it never, ever allows the now to be a state of peace. It sustains itself on the energy of what is missing. It is fueled by the declaration of lack. Its constant movement, its chattering, its planning and worrying, all of it is a statement to the universe that says, what is here right now is not enough. This declaration, repeated thousands of times a day, becomes your vibrational reality. It is the very score that the conductor, fear, uses to direct his symphony. This tyranny goes deeper than simple restlessness. The wanting mind is the primary creator and sustainer of the ego, the sense of a separate, incomplete I. Notice the language it uses. I want, I need, I don't have. This I is a phantom, a ghost assembled from the memory of past lacks and the projection of future fulfillment. Without the state of wanting, this needy I would begin to dissolve. And so, the mind clings to wanting as a matter of survival. It defines itself by its desires and its deficiencies. You are not a human being experiencing a temporary thought of want. You become a wanter, a being defined by what it lacks. This is the ultimate deception. It creates an identity, an ego, that is fundamentally rooted in scarcity, and then spends its entire life trying to decorate that prison cell with external achievements and possessions, wondering why it never feels free. The wanting mind also creates the grand illusion of control. It believes that its constant plotting, its ceaseless worrying, its rehearsal of future conversations and arguments is a necessary and productive activity. It believes it is the master of the house, diligently managing your life. In reality, this frantic mental activity is the very definition of being out of control. It is the nervous energy of a usurper king, constantly checking the locks and patrolling the hallways, because he knows, deep down, that his reign is illegitimate. A true king, one who rules from a place of inherent power and peace, is still. He does not need to constantly affirm his own authority. The frantic activity of the wanting mind is not a sign of power, it is the scream of its own powerlessness. So, let us map the tyrant's strategy, the cycle of desire and suffering. It begins with a feeling, a subtle sense of unease or emptiness. The wanting mind, unable to tolerate this ambiguity, immediately scans the external world for a cause and a solution. It latches onto an object, a person or a situation and declares, this is what I need. The second step is the period of striving. The symphony of scarcity begins to play at full volume. The worried violins, the shaming trumpets, the pounding drums of urgency are employed to fuel the chase. This is a period of high anxiety and effort. The third step is one of two outcomes. Either you fail to get what you want, which leads to frustration, despair, and a reinforcement of the core belief, I am not good enough, and the world is a stingy place. Or you succeed. You get the thing you wanted. For a brief moment, there is relief. The noise subsides, but this relief is short-lived. The wanting mind, the hungry monkey, having tasted the fruit, immediately finds it wanting. The underlying feeling of emptiness, which was never truly addressed, resurfaces. And the mind, knowing only one strategy, scans the horizon for a new target. The cycle begins again. This is the tyrant's perfect, self-sustaining loop. It is a closed system from which there appears to be no escape. What is the world's solution to this? What have you been taught to do? You have been taught to feed the monkey. The world tells you that if the small fruit did not satisfy it, you must find a bigger, more impressive fruit. If the $1,000 did not bring lasting peace, you must chase the million. If the small success did not silence the inner critic, you must achieve something monumental. We spend our lives in a desperate attempt to find the one magical fruit that will finally satiate the monkey's hunger, that will finally silence the wanting mind. But this is a fool's errand. You cannot use the energy of wanting to cure the disease of wanting. You cannot fill a bottomless pit by throwing more things into it. Trying to satisfy the wanting mind with external things is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Each temporary success only strengthens the underlying mechanism of desire, reinforcing the belief that happiness is out there. It solidifies the prison walls. So we do not fight the monkey. for that is just more noise. We do not shame the monkey, for that is the trumpet section of the orchestra. And we do not try to overfeed the monkey, for that is a game we can never win. We must do something radical, something the wanting mind would never conceive of. We must disengage from the struggle entirely. We sit down on the forest floor, we let the monkey screech and leap from branch to branch, and for the first time in our lives, we simply watch. We have come to a critical turning point. We have heard the symphony of our own scarcity, and we have seen the tyranny of the wanting mind, the restless monkey that directs it. The logical mind, the mind that got us into this prison, now screams for a solution. It wants a 5-step plan, a weapon to fight the monkey, a strategy to silence the orchestra. But we will not give it one. The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. Instead, we will do something that feels both terrifyingly simple and profoundly radical. We will begin the ascent of the first mountain, the mountain of self-observation. And the first step is to accept a truth so fundamental it can shatter the foundations of your entire reality. You are not your mind. You are not the voice in your head. You are not the emotions that surge through your body. You are not the restless monkey. You are the one who is aware of all these things. You are the silent watcher, the still presence that notices the chaos without being the chaos. This is the great liberation. It is the beginning of all true spiritual work and the secret to all manifestation. Before you can create from a place of power, you must first find that place of power, and it exists in the space between you and your mind. Let us use an ancient metaphor. Imagine your mind is a great, powerful river. It is filled with the currents of your emotions, joy, anger, sadness, fear. It carries the debris of your memories, old logs of past hurts, and shimmering leaves of happy moments. Sometimes the river is a raging torrent of anxiety, crashing over rocks of panic. At other times, it is a calm, slow-moving pool of contentment. For your entire life, you have believed that you are this river. You have been tossed about by its currents, battered by its debris, swept away by its rapids. When the river is chaotic, you are chaotic. When the river is calm, you are calm. You have no separate existence from it. The practice of observation is the act of consciously, deliberately, pulling yourself out of the water and sitting on the riverbank. From this new vantage point, you can watch the river flow. You can see the anger pass by without becoming angry. You can see the anxious thoughts swirl in an eddy without being swept into their vortex. You can see the memories float past without clinging to them. You are no longer the river. You are the observer on the bank. This observer has qualities your mind does not. It is silent. It is still. It is unconditionally accepting. It does not judge the river for being muddy or turbulent. It does not try to build a dam or change the river's course. It simply watches with a calm, dispassionate, loving presence. This is your true nature. This silent, watching presence is the real you. The river is simply a process, a conditioned mechanism. You are the awareness in which that process is happening. So how do we practice this? How do we move from the water to the shore? We begin by finding an anchor. The mind is slippery and the river's current is strong. To simply decide to watch is not enough. The habit of a lifetime will pull you back into the water within seconds. Your anchor is what holds you to the present moment. It is the patch of ground on the riverbank where you choose to sit. The most reliable and universally available anchor is your own breath. It is always with you, and it is always happening now. So, for a moment, bring your awareness to the sensation of breathing. You do not need to change it, control it, or deepen it. Simply feel it. Feel the cool air entering your nostrils. Feel the gentle rise of your chest and abdomen. Feel the brief pause at the top of the inhalation. Then, feel the gentle fall of your chest, the warm air leaving your body. This physical sensation is your anchor. It is your home base on the riverbank. Your only task is to rest your attention there. As you do this, you will immediately notice the river of your mind raging on. Thoughts will arise. This is boring. Am I doing this right? I forgot to send that email. What is that noise outside? Here is where the practice truly begins. As a thought or a feeling arises, your task is not to push it away. It is to notice it, and perhaps even to label it gently and neutrally. As a flurry of planning thoughts comes up, you simply say to yourself, softly in your mind, planning. As a wave of anxiety washes through you, you label it worrying. As a memory of yesterday appears, you label it remembering. You see it, you acknowledge it, and then you gently, kindly, guide your attention back to your anchor, back to the feeling of the breath. This is the essential action. Notice, label, and return. Think of it as training a puppy. You tell the puppy to sit, and it sits for a second before getting distracted by a butterfly and running off. You do not beat the puppy. You do not scream at it or despair that you have a broken puppy. You simply go to it, gently take it by the collar, and lead it back to its spot. Your mind is this puppy. It will wander. It will run off 1,000 times. The practice is not about forcing the puppy to sit perfectly still. The practice is the act of returning, over and over again, with infinite patience and compassion for yourself. Each time you notice you have been lost in thought swept back into the river, and you gently return your awareness to your breath, you have succeeded. That moment of noticing is a moment of awakening. You are strengthening the muscle of the observer. Extend this practice beyond thoughts. Begin to observe your emotions as pure physical sensations in the body, separate from the stories the mind tells about them. When anxiety arises, ask yourself, where do I feel this in my body? You might find it as a tightness in your chest, a knot in your solar plexus, a hollow feeling in your stomach. Do not call it anxiety. Instead, investigate the raw sensation. Is it hot or cold? Is it vibrating or solid? Is it sharp or dull? By observing the physical energy directly, without the label and the story of "I am anxious," you strip it of its power. You see it for what it is. A transient energy pattern moving through the field of your awareness. It is a cloud passing through the vast sky of you. It is not you. It is simply weather. What happens when you commit to this practice, even for just a few minutes each day? At first, it may seem like nothing. The mind may even seem louder, simply because you are paying attention to it for the first time. But if you persist, something miraculous begins to occur. A space begins to open up. You will start to notice a tiny gap between one thought and the next. In that gap, there is silence. There is peace. This gap is the first taste of true freedom. As this space widens through practice, the thoughts and emotions that arise within it begin to lose their density. Like vampires exposed to sunlight, the negative patterns of the mind cannot survive the steady, non-judgmental light of your awareness. The raging river begins to calm down, its currents becoming slower, its waters becoming clearer. You realize you are not the victim of your mind. You are the context in which it occurs. This is the reclaiming of your power. You are no longer the frightened villager running from the monkey. You are the wise sage, sitting peacefully, watching the monkey's antics with a gentle, knowing smile. This practice of observation, this patient return to the riverbank again and again, is the entirety of the climb up the first mountain. It is not about reaching a final destination where the mind is forever silent. It is about changing your relationship with your mind, moment by moment. From the peak of this mountain, you gain a new perspective. You are no longer lost in the tangled, confusing jungle below. You are looking down upon it from a place of clarity and profound peace. You can see the patterns, you can see the traps, but you are no longer caught in them. And this space you have so diligently cultivated, this inner stillness born of awareness, this is the very thing we have been seeking. It is the antechamber to the great temple. It is the silent, sacred ground from which all true creation arises. Now that you have found the entrance, now that you have tasted this silence, let us step fully inside. Let us enter the great silence itself. You have climbed the first mountain. Through the patient, moment-by-moment act of observation, you have stepped out of the raging river of your mind and found your footing on the shore. From this shore, you have witnessed the thoughts, the emotions, the entire chaotic symphony of scarcity without being swept away by it. And in doing so, you have created a space, a clearing in the dense jungle of your conditioning. Now, we are not just going to look at this clearing, we are going to step into it. We are going to enter the great silence. The first thing you must understand is that this silence has nothing to do with the absence of external sound. You can sit in an acoustically perfect chamber and be tormented by the deafening roar of your own mind. Conversely, you can stand in the middle of a bustling city and be anchored in a state of profound inner stillness. The great silence is not an environmental condition, it is a state of consciousness. It is not the absence of something, but the presence of something else. It is the presence of pure, untainted awareness itself. It is the sound of your own being, heard when all other sounds have been allowed to pass by. To find it, you must learn to listen in a new way. You must listen not for the sounds, but for the silence that holds them. Right now, listen to the sounds around you. Perhaps it is the hum of an appliance, the distant sound of traffic, the sound of my voice. Normally, your attention latches onto the sound, but for a moment, shift your perception. Become aware of the background, the silent canvas upon which these sounds are painted. Can you sense it? A field of stillness that allows the noise to exist. The sound of a bird singing is beautiful, but the beauty is made possible by the silence that surrounds it. That silence is not empty, it is a presence. Rest your attention there, in the background, in the quiet medium through which all sound travels. This is the first gateway. Now, bring your awareness to your breath, our faithful anchor. You have felt the inhale and the exhale, but now, bring your full attention to the pauses. There is a tiny, almost imperceptible pause at the very peak of your inhalation, a moment of perfect fullness before the release. And there is a deeper, more profound pause at the bottom of the exhalation, a moment of perfect emptiness before the body instinctively calls for the next breath. In these pauses, the mind is momentarily suspended. These are not just gaps in breathing, they are portals, they are doorways into the timeless. For the next few moments, let your awareness rest in that pause at the bottom of the breath. Do not force it, do not hold it, simply notice it. Let your consciousness sink into that still point. It is a taste of the great silence. And then there is the silence between your thoughts. As you have practiced observation, you have begun to notice these gaps. At first, they are fleeting, like a flicker of light. But as you continue to sit on the riverbank, these gaps begin to widen. The space between the clouds grows larger. Do not try to create these gaps. That is the mind's trick of wanting again. Instead, learn to appreciate them when they appear. When a space opens up in your stream of thinking, recognize it, treasure it, rest in it. This space is not a dumb void. It is luminous, it is intelligent, it is peace itself. This is the silence we seek to enter. It is your primordial state, your original face before your parents were born, before you were given a name, before the world told you who you were. It is the consciousness that existed before the first thought, the first belief, the first wound. Returning to it is not an act of achieving something new. It is an act of remembering who you have always been. It is like coming home after a long and difficult journey and taking off a heavy, mud-caked coat. The coat is your personality, your history, your problems. You are the warmth and life that was always underneath. Let us now use our master metaphor. If your thoughts are clouds and your emotions are the weather, then the great silence is the sky. The sky is always here. Sometimes it is filled with dark, turbulent storm clouds of anger and fear. Sometimes it is covered by a grey, oppressive blanket of sadness. Sometimes it is dotted with fluffy white clouds of happy thoughts. And sometimes it is perfectly clear and brilliant blue. But through all of this, the sky itself never changes. The sky is not harmed by the storm. It is not stained by the dark clouds. It is not improved by the sunshine. It is the vast, impartial, benevolent space that allows all weather to happen. You are not the weather. You are the sky. To enter the great silence is to shift your identity from the passing cloud to the eternal sky. When a thought of worry appears, you see it as a cloud floating through the vast expanse of you. When a feeling of joy arises, you experience it as sunshine warming the sky of you. You no longer identify with the transient phenomena. This shift is the secret to all freedom. The sky does not need to fight the storm. It simply allows it to be, knowing that it, too, shall pass. In this state of sky-like awareness, you find a peace that is not dependent on conditions. It is not the peace that comes when your problems are solved. It is the peace that exists in the midst of your problems, because you know you are the space in which they are unfolding. This silence, this sky of your being, is not passive or inert. This is a vital point. It is pure, undifferentiated intelligence. It is the quantum field of infinite potential that mystics have spoken of for millennia. It is the mind of God before it has decided to think. It is a field of pure knowing. It does not think in words, like your conditioned mind does. It knows through a silent, intuitive feeling. It is this silence that is the source of all genius, all inspiration, all creative power. When you quiet the chattering of the surface mind and rest in this deep silence, you are aligning yourself with the creative force of the universe itself. You become a conduit for a higher intelligence. This is why the first step to manifesting gold is not to shout your desires, but to become silent enough to hear the whispers of true inspiration, to feel the pull of inspired action. The silence is a listening presence. It is aware of your intentions, not because you write them down 100 times, but because they are a vibration within the field of you. For many, however, entering this space can be frightening. The ego, the wanting mind, the phantom I that is built from thought, is terrified of the great silence, because in the silence, there are no thoughts to define it. The monkey has no branches to swing on. The ego feels like it is dying. It will generate a sudden surge of fear, a jolt of anxiety, a desperate thought. I am disappearing. I am losing myself. It will do anything to pull you back into the familiar noise of its drama. You must learn to see this for what it is. It is not you who is dying. It is the prison guard who is dissolving. The death of the ego is the birth of your true self. So when this fear arises, do not retreat. Welcome it. Feel the sensation of dissolving, of becoming vast and empty, and reframe it not as annihilation, but as liberation. You are simply shedding a skin that has become far too tight. The journey into the great silence is a journey of trusting this process of dissolution. You are letting go of the small, fearful, constructed self to merge with the vast, fearless, eternal self. And it is always here. Beneath the noise of this moment, it is here. It is waiting. Many who touch this state of profound stillness feel a flicker of panic. They mistake this sacred emptiness for nothingness. They pull back, afraid of the void. But the alchemist, the true master of creation, knows better. They know that this emptiness is not the end. It is the fertile ground of all beginnings. For it is only in this silent, empty space that the magic of transformation can occur. It is from this sacred void that all form is born. You have stepped into the great silence. You have felt its peace, its vastness. But the conditioned mind, the monkey mind, is clever. It may recoil, not with a loud shriek of fear, but with a subtle, dismissive whisper. What is the point of this? This is nothing. This is empty. How can I build a life of abundance from a state of nothingness? This is the great misunderstanding of the modern world. We have been taught to equate emptiness with lack, to see a void as a vacuum that must be filled. We are terrified of an empty bank account, an empty schedule, an empty mind. But the ancient alchemist, the sage who saw beyond the veil of form, understood the most profound secret of creation. They understood that this sacred emptiness is not nothingness, it is everything. The Heart Sutra, one of the most powerful spiritual texts ever conceived, states this secret plainly. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. This is not a religious riddle. It is the user manual for the universe. And understanding it is the key to turning the lead of your old reality into the gold of your deepest desires. Let us first deconstruct this sacred emptiness. It is not the dead, sterile vacuum of outer space. It is a living, breathing, potent void. Think of the silence that allows music to exist. The notes of a symphony are the form, but it is the silence between the notes that gives them rhythm, meaning, and power. Without the emptiness of silence, music would just be a wall of incoherent noise. Think of the empty space inside a cup. It is the emptiness that makes the cup useful. You cannot drink from the ceramic form. You drink from the empty space it contains. The form serves the emptiness. This is the nature of the great silence within you. It is a plenum void, an emptiness that is paradoxically full. It is full of pure potentiality. Before anything can exist in the world of form, it must first exist as a pure potential within this field of emptiness. Before the mighty oak tree, there is the silent, unmanifest potential for an oak tree. Before the masterpiece is painted, it exists as a potential within the emptiness of the blank canvas. Before wealth can appear in your hand, it must first exist as a pure, undiluted potential in the field of your consciousness. The great silence is this field. It is the cosmic womb, the divine matrix from which all worlds, all things, all experiences are born. Furthermore, this emptiness represents ultimate freedom. Anything that has a form is, by its very nature, limited. A chair is a chair. It cannot be a table. A memory of your past is a specific form, a story that defines and confines you. But the emptiness is free from all definition. It is the uncarved block of wood that can become any sculpture. It is the stem cell that can differentiate into any part of the body. When you learn to reside in the silent, empty awareness within you, you are stepping out of the prison of your current form, your current personality, your current problems, your current financial situation. You are returning to the state of pure potential, the freedom of the uncarved block. From this state, you are no longer bound by the momentum of your past. You are free to collapse the infinite wave of potential into a new particle, a new reality, a new form. This is why the fearful ego resists it. The ego is form. It is a collection of memories, beliefs, and labels. In the face of formless emptiness, it feels its own dissolution, and it panics. But you must learn to see this dissolution not as a death, but as your one true chance at rebirth. Now, let us look at the other side of the equation. Form. Everything you can see, touch, taste, and think is form. The body you inhabit is form. The chair you are sitting on is form. The money in your wallet is form. The thoughts of scarcity playing in your mind are also a subtle kind of form. And the great secret is that all of this form is simply a temporary crystallization of emptiness. It is like an ice sculpture, beautiful and seemingly solid, but its true nature is water. The sculpture is a temporary shape that the water has taken. In the same way, all the objects and circumstances of your life are temporary shapes that the universal consciousness, the great silence, has taken. They arise from emptiness, they exist for a time as form, and they eventually dissolve back into emptiness. When you truly understand this, your relationship with the world changes entirely. You cease to cling so desperately to positive forms because you know they are transient, and you cease to fear negative forms because you know they too are just temporary ice sculptures that will eventually melt back into the formless. You are no longer a victim of form. You see the silent, deathless, eternal emptiness that is the source of all of it. Here is the most practical metaphor for the alchemist. Imagine the great silence. The state of pure awareness you have been cultivating is a plot of perfectly tilled, dark, fertile earth. It is utterly empty, silent, and receptive. This is the state of your consciousness when it is free from the weeds of the wanting mind. Now, an intentioner, clear, simple, feeling-toned image of what you desirize a seed. For years, you have been trying to plant these precious seeds on a ground of solid concrete. You have been standing amidst the deafening noise of the symphony of scarcity, holding a seed of wealth and shouting at it, trying to force it to grow on a surface where nothing can possibly take root. The result is frustration and exhaustion. The alchemist's way is to first dedicate all their energy to cultivating the soil. Their primary work is to enter the silence, to weed the garden of their mind, removing the stones of doubt and the thorns of fear, until all that is left is the rich, dark, empty, and fertile soil of pure awareness. Then, and only then, do they gently place a single, potent seed of intention into that soil. They do not force it. They do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. They trust the nature of the soil. They know that the emptiness itself, the fertile darkness, contains all the intelligence and power necessary to germinate the seed and push it up into the world of form. Your job is not to create the form. Your job is to create the fertile emptiness from which form is born. You are the gardener, and your only task is to tend to the soil of your own consciousness. This is the alchemical marriage. It is the sacred union of the feminine principle, which is the receptive, silent, empty awareness, with the masculine principle, which is the focused, penetrating power of a single intention. When the womb of your silent consciousness is impregnated by the seed of a clear desire, creation is not just possible, it is inevitable. This is the secret work. It is not about chasing forms in the outer world. It is about creating the inner state of fertile emptiness and allowing that state to birth the forms you desire. This is how you turn lead into gold. The lead is the dense, heavy, noisy mind of fear and lack. The gold is the luminous, effortless reality that is born from silence. The alchemical process is the purification of your own consciousness, returning it to its original state, the prima materia, the empty, silent, potent source of all things. By understanding this principle, you have graduated. You are no longer a pawn of fate, tossed about by the random appearances of form in your life. You are an apprentice alchemist. You now understand the nature of the creative medium. You know that the kingdom of heaven, the field of all potential, is within you, and it is a kingdom of profound, fertile silence. The next logical step, therefore, is to become exquisitely clear about the seed we wish to plant in this divine soil. What is this gold that we seek to manifest? To choose wisely, we must understand that it is not a lifeless object we are after. It is a living, breathing vibration. It is a frequency. We stand now on sacred ground. You have learned to enter the great silence, the fertile, empty field of pure potential. You have understood the alchemist's secret, that this emptiness is the womb of all form. The logical next step, the one the wanting mind eagerly awaits, is to choose the seed. The mind scrambles for its catalogues of desire, for pictures of cars and houses, for specific numbers to write on a check and place under a pillow. But we must pause here, for this is the most common place where the apprentice alchemist falters. You are not meant to plant the seed of a thing. You are meant to cultivate a frequency. The universe does not respond to the nouns you desire. It responds to the vibrational adjectives you embody. It is a cosmos of resonance, not of language. Therefore, the ultimate secret of wealth is this: gold is not a metal, it is a frequency. And your task is not to pursue the metal, but to become a resonant match for its frequency. At the very foundation of reality, there is no solid matter. The chair you sit on, the device you are listening on, your own body, they all feel solid, dense, and separate. But modern physics and ancient mysticism are in perfect agreement on this point. At their most fundamental level, all of these things are simply vibrating fields of energy. There is nothing but energy, dancing at different speeds, creating the illusion of solidity. You are not a solid body with an energy field around it. You are a field of energy that has temporarily taken the form of a body. Your thoughts are bursts of energy. Your emotions are waves of energy. You are a complex, shimmering, vibrational being. And the most fundamental law of this energetic universe is the law of resonance, or like attracts like. A tuning fork vibrating at the note of C will, if brought near another C tuning fork, cause the second one to begin vibrating as well, without ever touching it. They are a vibrational match. In the same way, the vibrational state of your being is constantly sending out a signal, a broadcast, into the universe. And the universe, by law, must send back circumstances, people, and experiences that are a precise, resonant match for that signal. Let us use our metaphor. Imagine that your entire being, your consciousness, your body, your emotional state is a sophisticated broadcasting tower. Every moment of every day, you are on the air. You are broadcasting a signal. The signal is not determined by the positive affirmations you repeat like a parrot. The signal is determined by your dominant feeling state, your core vibration. For years, perhaps, you have been broadcasting on 98.7 FM, the station of scarcity. The playlist on this station includes the greatest hits of worry, the slow ballads of self-pity, the heavy metal of anger and frustration, and the endless commercials of "I don't have enough." And then you sit by your radio, wondering why you can never seem to hear the beautiful, harmonious music playing on 103.5 FM, the symphony of abundance. You cannot hear that music because you are not tuned to that frequency. You are not a vibrational match for it. The work of manifesting gold is not to beg the universe to change the station for you. It is the work of deliberately, consciously changing the frequency of your own broadcast. So how do we do this? How do we tune the instrument of our own self? First, we must become exquisitely aware of what the different frequencies feel like in our own body. The mind can lie, but the body is a perfect barometer of your true vibrational state. For just a moment, I want you to feel the frequency of lack. Do not be afraid. We are just noticing, not judging. Bring to mind a recent memory of worrying about a bill you had to pay. Do not get lost in the story of the bill itself. Instead, bring your awareness into your body and feel the physical sensations that accompany that worry. Where do you feel it? Is there a tightness in your chest, a cold knot in the pit of your stomach? Do you notice your shoulders tensing up, creeping towards your ears? Is your breath shallow and constricted? That collection of physical sensations, that contraction, that tightness, that coldness, that is the literal frequency of lack. It is a dense, low, chaotic vibration. When you feel that in your body, you are broadcasting scarcity. Now, let us learn to generate the frequency of gold. And again, we will not use the clumsy tool of the mind. I will not ask you to imagine a mountain of cash. For most, that image is so far from their current reality that it immediately triggers the frequency of disbelief, which is just another flavor of lack. We must be more subtle. We must be alchemists. We will generate the feeling first, for the feeling is the frequency. I want you to scan your memory for a time you felt a pure, unadulterated sense of relief. Perhaps it was the moment you finally arrived home after a long, stressful trip. Perhaps it was the moment a difficult problem at work suddenly and unexpectedly resolved itself. Perhaps it was the phone call that brought good news when you were expecting bad. Go back to that moment. Let the story fade and sink into the pure physical sensation of relief. How did that feel in your body? Was there not a sudden release of tension, a letting go, a deep, satisfying exhale, a feeling of warmth spreading through your chest? Now, think of a time you felt a deep sense of security and peace, perhaps walking in a quiet forest, the sunlight filtering through the leaves, or sitting by the ocean, watching the waves roll in, feeling the vastness of it all. Tune into that feeling of being held, of being safe, of everything being fundamentally okay. How did that feel? Was there a sense of expansion, of quiet solidity, a slowing of the heart rate? Now, recall a moment of pure, simple freedom. The first day of a vacation, the feeling of an open road ahead of you, a moment when all obligations fell away and you were utterly free to just be. Feel that lightness, that joy, that sense of infinite possibility, that expansive warmth in your chest, that deep sense of peace in your bones, that light and joyful feeling of freedom that is the frequency of gold. It is not a metal, it is this feeling. It is a high, coherent, open, and expansive vibration. This is the great reversal of everything you have been taught. The world tells you, first get the money, and then you will feel secure, peaceful, and free. The alchemist, the master of the universe, knows the truth. First feel secure, peaceful, and free, and then the money and all other forms of gold must come, by law, as a resonant match. The feeling is the cause, not the effect. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the broadcast. The feeling is the seed you plant in the fertile emptiness of the great silence. A thought, an affirmation, like "I am wealthy," is just an empty seed casing without the energetic charge of emotion. The feeling is the life force within the seed. You can repeat "I am wealthy" 1,000 times, but if you feel the constriction of lack in your body, your dominant broadcast is lack. The universe is not fooled by your words. It responds only to the undeniable truth of your energetic signature, the song your body is singing. Therefore, your primary work is redefined. It is no longer about chasing things in the outer world. It is about the inner cultivation of this golden frequency. Your meditation, your moments of quiet, your walk in nature, these are not idle luxuries. They are the essential work of tuning your instrument. They are the moments you consciously choose to broadcast the frequency of abundance, even if the outer world has not yet caught up. You are pre-paving your future reality with the power of your own feeling state. You are becoming the tuning fork that will command the universe to resonate with you. We now know that our goal is not a thing, but a vibration. We know what this vibration feels like. The next step in our alchemical work is to learn how to hold this frequency with clarity and power, to strengthen the signal so that it cuts through the static of the old symphony of scarcity. To do this, we must learn to forge a proper vessel within our own minds, a container strong enough to hold this golden light. We must learn the power of a single, focused thought. You have attuned your ear to the universe. You understand now that you are a broadcasting tower and that your feeling state is the frequency you send out into the cosmos. You have felt the dense, contracted frequency of lack and the light, expansive frequency of gold. You know that your work is to generate this golden frequency first, as a cause, not to wait for it as an effect. But a broadcast requires more than just the right frequency. It requires a focused signal. A signal that is weak, wavering, and full of static will not reach its destination. A mind that is scattered, undisciplined, and pulled in 1,000 directions at once cannot create anything of significance. Its energy is dissipated. To impress your desired frequency upon the fertile field of the great silence, you must first gather the scattered fragments of your mind into a single, coherent, powerful beam. You must learn to forge a vessel. And the fire that forges this vessel is the power of a single, focused thought. Imagine the average human mind, the untrained monkey mind, as a simple frosted light bulb of about 100 watts. Its light, which represents its creative energy and attention, shines in every direction at once. It illuminates the ceiling of worry, the floor of past regrets, the wall of future anxieties, and the corner of idle distractions, all at the same time. A thought of abundance arises. I want to be wealthy. But immediately, the light also shines on a contradictory thought. But that's impossible for me. It shines on a desire. I see myself in a beautiful home. And in the same split second, it shines on a fear. But I can't even afford the rent. This mind sends thousands of mixed, contradictory, and weak signals into the quantum field every single day. The light is diffuse. It provides a dim, foggy illumination, but it has no power to effect any real change. It is the energy of indecision, of mental chatter, of being a house divided against itself. Now, imagine taking that same 100 watts of energy from the light bulb and channeling it through a laser. The energy is the same, but it is no longer scattered. It is gathered, focused, and coherent. It becomes a single, powerful beam of light that can cut through steel, perform delicate surgery, or send a message across vast distances. This is the quality of a focused mind. A mind that has been trained to hold a single thought, a single intention, a single feeling state, to the exclusion of all else, becomes a laser beam of creative power. It does not waste its energy on doubt, contradiction, or fear. It gathers all of its power into one point and impresses that single point upon the field of silence. This is the mind of the master alchemist, the genius inventor, the miracle worker. They have learned, through practice, to silence the inner noise and focus the entirety of their being on a single desired outcome. The great silence we have cultivated is the laboratory in which we practice this sacred art. It is the focusing chamber for the laser. Trying to focus amidst the daily chaos of the wanting mind is like trying to build a laser in the middle of a hurricane. It is only within the deep stillness of our inner sanctum that we can begin to gather the scattered rays of our attention and forge them into a tool of immense power. So, how do we forge this vessel? How do we practice this art of single-pointed concentration? First, we must understand what we mean by a single thought. The untrained mind thinks of this as repeating a verbal affirmation like, I am wealthy, I am wealthy, I am wealthy. This can be a starting point, but it is often ineffective because it is just the mind talking to itself. The true single thought is not a collection of words, it is a condensed state of being. It is a feeling state that you have distilled into a simple, potent, symbolic trigger. Your single thought might be a short phrase that implies the wish is already fulfilled, such as, thank you, whispering thank you in your heart, not for what you have, but for the desire that has now been accomplished, generates the frequency of gratitude and reception. Another powerful single thought is the feeling state of, it is done. This is a feeling of profound relief, of release, of letting go of the struggle because the matter is now settled. Or, your single thought could be a simple image, a mental snapshot of you smiling, not for any particular reason, but with a deep inner glow of security and peace. The key is that the thought is not the goal. The thought is the key that unlocks the door to the feeling, to the frequency. You must choose a simple key that reliably opens the door to the golden frequency of relief, peace, and freedom within you. The practice itself is one of gentleness, not of force. You enter your state of silence, sitting on the riverbank of your awareness. You feel the stillness of the sky of your being. Then, into this vast, quiet space, you gently introduce your single thought, your key. Let us say you have chosen the feeling state of, "It is done." You do not shout it. You do not force it. You simply let the feeling of it arise and permeate the silence. You feel the relief in your shoulders as they drop. You feel the peace settle in your heart. You allow this golden frequency to saturate every cell of your body. Your only job is to hold your attention on this feeling state. Now, inevitably, the monkey mind will intrude. A doubt will appear as a dark cloud. This is silly. It's not really done. An unrelated thought will pop up. What should I have for dinner? A fear will surface. This will never work. Here is where the forging happens. The old way is to fight these thoughts, to get angry at yourself for being distracted. This only creates more noise and resistance. The alchemist's way is to see the intrusion, acknowledge it without judgment, as if saying, "Ah, the cloud of doubt has appeared," and then, with the utmost gentleness, guide your attention back to the feeling of, "It is done." You do not push the cloud away. You simply withdraw your attention from it and place it back on your chosen point of focus. This act of gentle, persistent returning is the hammer striking the hot metal. Each time you return, you are forging the vessel. You are strengthening your mental and spiritual muscles. You are making the container of your mind stronger, clearer, and less permeable to the static of scarcity. It is far better to practice this for 5 minutes with deep, feeling-toned focus than for an hour of scattered, anxious struggle. Consistency is the fire that keeps the metal hot. A few minutes every day, dedicated to this practice of holding a single, feeling-toned thought in the silence, will do more to transform your reality than years of half-hearted, unfocused wishing. Over time, as you practice, a profound shift occurs. The vessel you are forging, this inner state of quiet confidence, of peaceful knowing, of "it is done," begins to feel more real than the chaotic outer world of problems and appearances. Your inner reality, charged with your focused attention, becomes your new home. It becomes your default state. And when your inner state of being becomes more solid and real to you than anything in the external world, which is but a mirror and a shadow, has no choice but to rearrange itself to match the new blueprint you have forged within. You have now learned the art of the alchemical craftsman. You have taken the raw material of your scattered mind and begun to forge it into a powerful vessel, a focused lens capable of directing your creative energy. We have the fertile soil of the great silence. We have identified the vibrational nature of our seed, the golden frequency. And now, we have forged the vessel of a focused mind, a container capable of holding our intention purely and without leakage. The inner world has been perfectly prepared. All that remains is the sacred and simple act of planting the seed itself, of placing this focused intention into the womb of the void with absolute trust. We have arrived at the heart of the temple, the inner sanctum where creation takes place. All of your preparation has led you to this single sacred moment. You have journeyed inward, past the clamor of the wanting mind and the chaos of the symphony of scarcity. You have climbed the mountain of observation and discovered the great silence, the fertile, empty soil of pure being. You have learned that your goal is not a thing, but a golden frequency of peace and abundance. You have diligently forged the vessel of your mind, gathering its scattered light into the focused laser beam of a single, feeling-toned thought. The altar is prepared. The creative medium is ready. Now, we perform the act itself. Now, we plant the seed. And you must understand this with every fiber of your being. This final creative act is not an act of effort. It is not a demonstration of power. It is an act of supreme grace, a moment of gentle surrender. It is the easiest step of all, and yet it is the one that the ego, the phantom I that believes it must control everything, finds the most difficult. For the act of planting is an act of letting go. Before we proceed, let us illuminate the path of folly, the way of the world. The uninitiated creator believes that this moment requires immense force. They strain and they struggle. They grit their teeth and try to project their desire out into the universe, as if trying to physically push a boulder up a hill with their mind. They visualize with a desperate intensity, wrestling with their imagination to make the picture clearer, brighter, more vivid. Their brow is furrowed with effort. This entire posture of straining, of forcing, of trying so very hard, is a broadcast. It is a powerful signal sent out into the cosmos, and the signal says, "This is not here yet, and I am separate from it. I must struggle mightily to bridge this gap. Creation is hard, and I am powerless." This frequency of struggle is the polar opposite of the golden frequency of ease, flow, and reception. By trying so hard to force the seed into the soil, you are inadvertently hardening the soil into concrete. You are broadcasting the very energy that repels the thing you seek. It is like trying to plant a delicate orchid by striking it with a hammer. You destroy the very potential you wish to cultivate. The universe does not respond to the intensity of your struggle. It responds to the clarity of your faith, and faith is a state of profound rest. The true alchemist, the master gardener of the soul, understands the sacred art of release. Their way is one of elegance and trust. Imagine again that the great silence, your still and peaceful awareness, is a vast, deep lake. Its surface is perfectly calm, like a sheet of black glass, reflecting the stars. The work you have done until now has all been about stilling these waters. The pebble we will use is your focused intention, the single thought you have forged, imbued with the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. It is small, it is dense, and it is potent with creative life. Now, the act of planting is this. You approach the shore of the silent lake of your mind. You hold the small, heavy pebble of your intention, the feeling of thank you, or it is done in the palm of your awareness. You hold it just above the glassy surface of the water, and then you simply open your hand. You release your grip. You do not throw it. You do not skim it. You do not hurl it into the depths. You let it go, and the pebble, of its own accord, drops. It touches the surface with a barely audible whisper, a tiny plink, and then it sinks, silently, down into the dark, mysterious, intelligent depths of the silence. Your work is finished in that precise moment of release. The instant you let go, your part is done. But the work of the universe has just begun. As the pebble sinks, it generates ripples, tiny, concentric rings of energy that spread out from the point of entry. These ripples are the unfolding of your creation. They are the organizing intelligence of the universe, responding to the impression you have just made upon it. You do not create the ripples. The nature of the water creates the ripples. You do not have to manage them, direct them, or worry about them. Your only task was the gentle release of the pebble. These ripples will travel silently through the quantum field, through the mind of God, organizing reality around your new vibrational blueprint. And eventually, in their own perfect time, these ripples will reach the distant shore of your physical three-dimensional world, washing up as a new opportunity, an unexpected check, a creative idea, a healed relationship. The physical manifestation is merely the last ripple reaching the shore. The true creation happened in the silent moment of release. Let us now perform this sacred ritual together. Find your quiet space. Close your eyes. Take a few slow, deep breaths, and with each exhale, let go of the noise of the day. Step into your temple. Feel the vast, silent, receptive space of your own awareness. This is the lake at midnight, perfectly still. Now, gently bring to mind the seed of your intention, the single feeling-toned thought you have forged. Perhaps it is the feeling of immense gratitude. Perhaps it is the feeling of deep, abiding peace. Feel this frequency in your body. Let it become a small, dense, potent pebble of pure feeling held in the center of your awareness. Do not strain, just feel its presence. Now, we prepare for the release. Know that this silent, receptive emptiness you are resting in is the creative power of the universe itself. It is infinitely intelligent and infinitely loving. It is the fertile soil waiting for your seed. In a moment, you will give this desire completely over to this greater intelligence. On your next exhale, with a gentle inner nod of surrender and trust, simply let it go. Open the hand of your mind and let the pebble of your intention drop. Feel it sinking away from you, down into the profound, peaceful darkness of your inner being. It is no longer your responsibility. It has been received. And now, for a few moments, do nothing. Do not look for it. Do not ask if it worked. Simply rest in the afterglow. Abide in the silence of the lake. Remain on the shore, at peace, knowing that the pebble is sinking, the work is done, and the ripples of creation are already spreading out in the unseen world, silently, perfectly, and inevitably. This is the path of effortless creation. The power is in the gentleness, the action is in the non-action, the force is in the surrender. The universe does not need your struggle. It only requires your clear intention and your trusting release. You have now successfully planted the seed in the void. You have performed the most sacred act of conscious creation. And now you must face what is, for the wanting mind, the greatest trial of all. You must leave the garden. You must walk away and allow the unseen alchemy to work its magic without your interference. You have released the arrow from the bow. Now, you must learn the art of letting it fly. The sacred act is complete. In the hallowed stillness of your inner temple, you have gently released the seed of your intention into the fertile darkness of the great silence. The pebble has dropped into the lake. The prayer has been whispered. For a single, perfect moment, you felt the peace of surrender, the quiet confidence of knowing the work is done. But now you walk out of the temple and back into the world of time and space. And for the wanting mind, for the ego that lives by control and measurement, the most agonizing part of the journey has just begun. This is the period of waiting, the space between the planting and the harvest. And it is here that most creations wither on the vine, not because the seed was bad or the soil was barren, but because the gardener could not resist the urge to interfere. You have released the arrow. Now you must master the supreme spiritual skill, the art of letting it fly. Imagine a master archer. Their artistry is not just in the moment of release, it is in the lifetime of practice that came before. The strengthening of the body, the cultivation of unwavering focus, the perfect understanding of the bow, the arrow, and the wind. They stand, they draw the bow, they hold their aim, and they release the string. In that exact instant, their active work is over. The arrow soars through the air, a perfect extension of the archer's will, but it is no longer in the archer's hands. The master does not run after the arrow, shouting at it to fly straighter. They do not scream at the wind to be still. They do not fall to the ground in a panic, wondering if they did it correctly. They stand, still and poised, and they watch, in serene confidence, as the arrow finds its mark. This is the posture we must now cultivate. The seed you planted is the arrow. Your job is to become the master archer, trusting the flight, trusting the process, trusting the inevitable outcome that was sealed in the moment of your focused release. But the monkey mind is a novice archer. The moment the arrow leaves the bow, it panics. It begins to shout, "Did I do it right? Maybe I should have used a different arrow. Look at that crosswind. It's going to miss. Why is it taking so long to get there?" This panic, this anxiety, this constant need to check on the progress is the spiritual equivalent of digging up your seed every morning to see if it has sprouted. In your worry, you are disturbing the delicate, unseen process of germination that is happening in the dark. Every time you anxiously look for a sign, every time you check your bank account with a feeling of dread, every time you ask the universe, "Is it here yet?" you are disrupting the soil. You are broadcasting a second, powerful frequency that directly contradicts your initial intention. Your first signal, the one planted in faith, was, "It is done." This second, panicked signal is, "I don't really believe it's done, and I'm scared it won't happen." The universe, which is a perfect and impersonal mirror, receives these two contradictory signals and can only reflect your own state of ambivalence back to you. The result is delay, confusion, and non-manifestation. Your doubt literally cancels out your desire. This desperate need to check and control stems from the ego's deepest fear, the fear of powerlessness. It believes that if it is not actively worrying, planning, and managing, then nothing will happen. It equates letting go with giving up. It feels like a terrifying abdication of responsibility. But you must reframe this understanding. True power, true control, is not found in micromanaging the infinite details of the how and the when. That is the job of the universe, the CEO of creation, an intelligence so vast it can orchestrate the movement of galaxies. Your job, as the conscious creator, is far more subtle and important. Your sole responsibility after planting the seed is to maintain the integrity of your own inner state. Your only work is to remain in the golden frequency of the wish fulfilled. To let go of managing the outer world is to finally take up the true scepter of power, the mastery of your own being. So what does this art of releasing the arrow look like in your daily life? It is the practice of what can be called sacred indifference. This is not the same as apathy. Apathy means you no longer care about your desire. Sacred indifference means you have so much faith in the outcome that you are completely and utterly indifferent to the how, the when, and the where it will manifest. You have turned the logistics over to a higher power. You have released the need to see the blueprint. This is an act of profound trust. You practice this by living as if. You ask yourself, how would the person who has already received this gift be acting today? Would a person who is truly financially secure be obsessively counting every penny? Or would they operate from a state of ease, perhaps even being a little more generous, a little more relaxed? Would a person who has found deep inner peace be frantically searching for answers outside of themselves? Or would they be calmly enjoying the present moment? Your practice is to adopt the feeling state and, as much as possible, the behaviors of the person you are becoming. You live from the end result. By doing so, you make your vibrational broadcast clean, clear, and consistent. A practical tool for this is to deliberately distract the monkey mind. The wanting mind is like a bored child. If you do not give it a task, it will cause trouble. So, give it a job. Immerse yourself completely in your work, your art, a hobby you love. Be of service to others. Do something that absorbs you so fully that you forget to worry. A mind that is joyfully engaged in the present moment has no energy left over for anxious thoughts about the future. When you are fully present, you are not digging up your seed. You are watering the rest of the garden of your life, which creates a healthy, vibrant environment for the new seed to grow. This is the great paradox of creation. The more you can find your sense of wholeness and happiness now, without needing your desire to manifest, the faster it will come to you. The state of neediness, of desperation, creates a vibrational wall that pushes your desire away. When you genuinely arrive at a place where you think, I would love for this to happen, but if it doesn't, my peace and my joy are still intact right here, right now, in this silence within me, the wall dissolves. You have found your treasure within. The outer world is then free to rearrange itself to bring you the symbols and reflections of the treasure you have already unearthed inside yourself. Letting go is the ultimate demonstration of faith. It is the final and most crucial ingredient in the alchemical formula. You have focused your intention, you have planted it in the void, and now you must turn away from the garden with a smile, trusting the process implicitly. You must let the arrow fly and remain still, confident in your aim. This is the test. But what of those moments when, despite all your best intentions, the old conditioning rears its head? What happens when a storm of doubt rolls in, so powerful it shakes your resolve to its core? What do you do when the demons of fear and scarcity, long buried, claw their way back to the surface? It is not enough to simply ignore them. To achieve true mastery, we must learn to face them, not as enemies to be vanquished, but as lost parts of ourselves that need to be fed. We must learn the sacred art of feeding our demons honey. You have performed the sacred rites. You have planted your seed of intention in the fertile silence and have released the arrow of your desire from the bow of your being. You are now practicing the high art of letting go, of walking through your days with the serene confidence of the master archer who trusts the arrow's flight. But the path of creation is not always a serene walk in the sun. You live in a world of form, and your own body and mind have been conditioned for lifetimes by the symphony of scarcity. And so, inevitably, a day will come. It may be tomorrow, it may be a week from now. A shadow will fall. Out of a seemingly clear sky, a storm will gather with terrifying speed. A wave of pure, cold fear will wash over you. A suffocating blanket of doubt will descend, so thick and heavy that it blots out all memory of faith. In this moment, your old instincts, the instincts of a world at war with itself, will scream at you to fight, to resist, to suppress the feeling, to condemn it as negative thinking and frantically try to replace it with a hollow, positive affirmation. This is the path of inner conflict, a path that can only ever lead to more exhaustion and more war. But you are an alchemist now, and the alchemist does not seek to destroy any part of the self. The alchemist seeks to transmute it. Today, you will learn the secret to ending the inner war. You will learn how to face your deepest demons, not with a sword, but with a spoonful of honey. First, you must understand with absolute clarity why fighting your fear is a losing battle. The universe operates on a simple law. What you resist persists. When you push against a feeling, you are giving it your energy. You are engaging it in a struggle, and the struggle itself validates its importance and strengthens its presence. Imagine trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes immense, constant effort. The moment you relax, the ball shoots to the surface with even greater force. Your fear and your doubt are this beach ball. By trying to suppress them, you are locking your own energy into the fight, energy that could be used for creation and joy. This struggle also sends a disastrous signal to the universe. You cannot find inner peace by waging inner war. You cannot broadcast the frequency of abundance while your inner landscape is a battlefield. The vibration of struggle will only ever attract more circumstances that require you to struggle. Furthermore, these so-called demons your fear, your doubt, your anxiety are not evil invaders. They are wounded parts of you. They are misguided protectors. Imagine your fear is a loyal guard dog, chained in the dungeons of your subconscious for years. Its only job has been to protect you from what it perceives as danger, primarily the danger of the unknown. Now, you begin to radiate a new frequency of faith, trust, and abundance. To the guard dog, this new, unfamiliar energy smells like a threat. So it does its job. It barks, it snarls, it rattles its chain. The worldly approach is to run down to the dungeon and beat the dog into submission. But this only makes the dog more vicious, more terrified, and more convinced that the danger is real. The alchemist walks down to the dungeon, not with a stick, but with a bowl of food and a gentle hand. The alchemist understands the dog is not the enemy. The dog is a loyal servant who is operating on old, outdated programming. So how do we practice this sacred art of feeding our demons honey? It is a process of radical acceptance and compassionate inquiry. The next time the wave of fear or doubt arises, you must commit to doing the opposite of what you have always done. First, you stop running. You halt the inner battle. You take a breath and you turn to face the feeling. You simply acknowledge its presence, without judgment, without story. You say to it internally, "Ah, I see you, fear. Welcome." Or, "Hello, old friend doubt. I feel your presence." This simple, neutral acknowledgement is revolutionary. It is a declaration of truce. You are dropping your weapons. You are no longer resisting. Immediately, you will feel a subtle shift in your body as the energy you were using to suppress the feeling is freed up. The second step is to consciously invite it in. Instead of pushing it out, you create a space for it. You can imagine sitting down at a table in your heart and pulling up an empty chair for the feeling. You say, "You are allowed to be here. You can stay for as long as you need. I will not push you away." You are giving the snarling dog permission to enter the living room. You are treating it not as a monster, but as a guest. The third step is the feeding of the honey itself. The honey is your pure, loving, curious attention. You turn to the feeling, this energy now sitting with you, and you begin to listen to it with compassion. You ask it gentle questions, not to analyze it or fix it, but simply to understand. You might ask your fear, "What are you really afraid of? What are you trying to protect me from?" And then you listen. The answer may not come in words. It may come as another feeling, an image, a raw sensation in your body. Perhaps the fear shows you an image of being abandoned as a child. Perhaps it is trying to protect you from the pain of disappointment you felt long ago. You do not argue with it. You just listen, and you offer it understanding. "Ah, I see. You're afraid that if I trust, I will be hurt again, like that time before. Thank you for showing me that." You might ask your doubt, "What is it you do not believe? What do you need to feel safe?" Perhaps the doubt will reveal a core belief of unworthiness, a feeling that you are not one of the lucky ones who gets to have a good life. Again, you listen without judgment. You are giving these wounded, exiled parts of yourself the one thing they have been starving for their entire existence, a compassionate witness. You are shining the light of your own loving awareness on the darkest corners of your own psyche. The final step is to offer gratitude and reassurance. After you have listened to the demon, you thank it for its service. You recognize its positive intention, however misguided its methods may have been. Thank you, fear, for working so hard to keep me safe for all these years. You have done an incredible job. I truly appreciate your loyalty. And then you gently update its programming. You speak to it as a wise, loving parent would speak to a frightened child. "But I want you to know that I am safe now. I am not that helpless child anymore. I am the vast, peaceful sky of awareness, and I can hold this feeling of fear without being harmed by it. Your job is done. You can rest now. In this process, you are not killing the demon. You are liberating it. You are reparenting the wounded fragments of your own soul." And something miraculous happens. The demon, having finally been seen, heard, and loved, begins to transform. Its monstrous shape softens. The snarling guard dog, having been acknowledged and soothed, lies down, puts its head on its paws, and sighs with relief. The intense, terrifying energy of fear or doubt does not necessarily vanish, but it loses its demonic charge. It becomes a quiet, tender, vulnerable energy that you can hold in your heart with love. The energy that was once locked up in resistance is now freed and integrated back into your being. The fierce protector has become a source of profound wisdom and inner strength. You have not slain your dragon. You have tamed it and learned to ride it. This practice is the gateway to true spiritual maturity. It is the end of the war between light and shadow within you, and the beginning of a life of wholeness. When you learn to make peace with your own inner demons, you will find, to your astonishment, that you no longer see demons in the outer world. The people who once triggered you lose their power. The circumstances that once terrified you are seen from a new perspective. You stop seeing the world as a hostile battleground you must conquer, and you begin to see it for what it truly is. A perfect, holographic mirror, flawlessly reflecting the inner state you have so lovingly cultivated. And it is this profound shift in perception that reveals the next great law of creation. You have faced your inner shadows and have chosen not to fight, but to integrate them with the honey of compassionate awareness. This act of making peace within your own being is the final prerequisite for understanding the most elegant and profound law of existence. The world you experience is not a random collection of events and circumstances. It is not a solid, separate stage upon which you are merely an actor. The world, and everything in it, is a flawless mirror. It does not judge you, it does not test you, it does not have an agenda of its own. It has only one function: to reflect, with perfect, impersonal precision, the truth of your own consciousness back to you. When you truly grasp this, not as an intellectual concept, but as a living reality, the game of life changes forever. You cease to be a victim of the world and become its gentle and deliberate co-creator. Imagine you are standing in front of a perfectly polished mirror. If you frown, the face in the mirror frowns. If you smile, the face in the mirror smiles. If you weep, the reflection weeps. If you raise your hand in a gesture of peace, the reflection does the same. Now, imagine getting angry at the mirror for frowning. Imagine screaming at it, pleading with it, trying to physically force the reflected lips into a smile while your own are still turned down in a grimace. It is absurd. It is insane. Yet, this is how humanity has been living for eons. We look at the reflection of our reality, a reality of lack, of conflict, of frustration, and we get angry at the reflection. We blame the mirror. We blame the economy. We blame our politicians. We blame our parents. We blame our partners. We spend our entire lives trying to manipulate the reflection, trying to fix the world out there, hoping that if we can just rearrange the furniture in the reflection, we will finally feel at peace. But it can never work. The mirror has no power to change on its own. It can only show you what you are presenting to it. The only way to change the reflection is to change the expression on your own face. The only way to change your world is to change your inner state. This cosmic mirror is flawless and total. It reflects not just your conscious thoughts, but the entire spectrum of your being. It reflects the symphony of scarcity you once allowed to play unchecked. It reflects the tyranny of the wanting mind. And, most importantly, it reflects the peace you have cultivated by feeding your demons honey. When you were at war with your inner fear, did the mirror not show you a world full of people and situations to be afraid of? When you were judging yourself harshly, did the mirror not provide you with people who would judge and criticize you? And as you learn to hold yourself in loving awareness, do you not find that the world softens around you, that people seem kinder, that circumstances flow with more ease? This is not a coincidence. The person who constantly annoys you is simply reflecting a part of yourself that you have not yet accepted. The financial lack you experience is simply reflecting a deep-seated belief in scarcity that still vibrates within you. The world is not doing anything to you. It is showing you to you. Every event, every encounter, every circumstance is a piece of loving feedback, a diagnostic tool of unparalleled accuracy. It is the universe holding up a perfect mirror and saying with infinite patience, "This This is the frequency you are currently broadcasting. Is this what you wish to create? When you truly internalize this truth, the entire notion of victimhood evaporates like mist in the morning sun. It becomes an impossibility. How can you be a victim of your own reflection? How can you blame the mirror for showing you your own face? This realization is the end of blame, the end of resentment, and the beginning of absolute self-responsibility, which is the definition of true freedom. Your life transforms from a series of random, often painful events into a profound meditative practice. The unexpected bill that arrives in the mail is no longer a catastrophe. It is the mirror saying, "Look, there is still a small pocket of fear about security within you. Let us bring it into the light so it can be healed." The person who cuts you off in traffic is no longer an idiot to be cursed at. They are a reflection of a place where you are energetically cutting yourself off from your own flow, or a place where you feel rushed and impatient. You can now use every single experience, pleasant or unpleasant, as an opportunity to look within and ask, what is the source of this reflection in me? What belief, what feeling am I holding that has called this image forth in the mirror of my world? This shifts the entire creative process from a model of getting to a model of being. The primary question is no longer, what actions must I take to get that thing? The primary question becomes, who must I be to be a vibrational match for the reality I desire? To experience a world of abundance, you must be the person who embodies the frequency of abundance. You must clothe your soul in the feeling of ease, trust, and plenty. You do not do this as a trick to fool the universe. You do it because you understand that your inner state is the cause and the outer world is the effect. You become the smiling face, knowing that the mirror has no choice but to smile back. This is the true meaning of acting as if. It is not a hollow imitation, it is a profound embodiment. You are consciously choosing your state of being, regardless of the current reflection, with the absolute faith that the reflection must, by law, eventually conform to the source. There is, of course, a crucial element that the wanting mind struggles with, the time lag. The mirror of the universe is not like the glass mirror in your bathroom. It does not reflect changes instantaneously. It operates within the medium of time and space, a medium which has a certain divine inertia, a buffer. There is a delay between when you change your inner expression and when the outer reflection fully updates. This time lag is not a flaw in the system. It is a feature of profound grace. If your reality instantly morphed with every fleeting, fearful thought you had, your world would be an unbearable chaos. The lag gives you a space to stabilize your new frequency. It is a training ground for faith. It demands that you hold the smile of your new, chosen state, even when the mirror is, for a little while longer, still showing you the old frown of your past conditioning. This period is the ultimate test of your understanding. Can you continue to feel wealthy even when your bank account has not yet caught up? Can you continue to feel peaceful even when the world around you still appears chaotic? Your ability to do so determines the speed and certainty with which the new reflection will appear. To see the universe as a mirror is to claim your sovereignty as a creator. It is to take the locus of power away from the unpredictable outer world and place it firmly back where it has always been, in the sacred temple of your own consciousness. You now understand that to change the world, you must change yourself. You understand that life is not a struggle, but a reflection. But this brings us to the nature of the time lag itself. We are creatures who live by the clock, by calendars, by deadlines. But the great mirror of the universe does not share our sense of urgency. It operates on a different timeline, a cosmic rhythm. To work in harmony with it, we must learn to understand its most precious and powerful medium. We must come to realize that the true currency of the cosmos is not gold, but time. You have come to understand the great mirror. You see now that the universe is not a random chaos, but a perfect, lawful reflection of your own inner state. You have changed your expression from the frown of lack to the gentle smile of faith, and you are holding it, knowing the mirror must eventually reflect it back to you. But as you hold this new expression, you become aware of the buffer, the time lag, and the human mind, conditioned by a world of instant gratification and frantic deadlines, begins to protest. It taps its foot, it checks its watch. It asks, with growing irritation, "How long must I hold this smile before the reflection changes?" This irritation, this protest, this burning desire for the future to arrive now is the energy of impatience. And you must understand that impatience is one of the most potent forms of disbelief. It is a declaration that you do not trust the cosmic process. To become a true master of creation, you must make peace with the sacred rhythm of the universe. You must learn that the currency of the cosmos is not effort, but time. Let us dissect the energy of impatience. At its core, impatience is a manifestation of fear. It is the fear that you have been forgotten. It is the fear that you did it wrong. It is the terror that it is simply not going to happen and that your faith is a foolish delusion. This fear drives the ego to try and reassert control. If the universe will not operate on its schedule, it will try to force it, to bully it, to worry it into submission. But this entire posture is a powerful broadcast, a secondary signal that corrupts your original intention. Your initial act of faith broadcasts the frequency of "it is done." The frequency of impatience broadcasts the signal, "It is not done yet, and I am deeply uncomfortable with its absence." The universe, which always responds to your most dominant, sustained feeling state, receives this loud, agitated signal of lack and discomfort, and it dutifully reflects more circumstances that will make you feel impatient and uncomfortable. You cannot rush your harvest by being anxious about its arrival. Your anxiety is the very pest that devours the crop before it can ripen. We accept the majestic, unhurried rhythm of the cosmos in all other things. You do not stand on the shore and command the tide to come in faster. You do not scream at the winter earth to produce a summer rose. You do not shout at the sun to set before its appointed hour. You understand that these things operate on a divine timeline, a sacred clock that is not beholden to human whims. Why then do you believe that the creation of your new life, a process infinitely more complex and sacred than the turning of the tides, should be subject to the frantic demands of your ego? To be impatient with the universe is the height of spiritual arrogance. It is the cry of a small, frightened mind that has forgotten it is part of a vast, intelligent, and perfectly timed whole. We must redefine this waiting period. Your mind has been trained to see it as a void, a frustrating, empty gap between cause and effect. This is an illusion. The time between planting your seed and seeing the sprout is not an empty interval. It is a sacred interval. It is a period of intense, unseen, and absolutely vital activity. It is the period of gestation. When a seed is planted for a child, the 9 months of pregnancy are not a time of waiting. It is the time of creation itself. Within the dark, silent womb, a miracle of unimaginable complexity is unfolding. Cells are dividing, organs are forming, a consciousness is preparing to enter the world. The mother's job during this time is not to anxiously check a calendar or to try and speed up the process. Her job is to nurture herself, to rest, to provide the most loving and healthy environment possible so that the life within her can develop perfectly according to its own innate intelligence. Your desire is now gestating within the womb of the universe. Your job is to act as the loving mother. Your work is to nurture your own inner state, to feed yourself peace, joy, and trust, thereby providing the perfect energetic environment for your creation to form flawlessly. Pulling up the seed to see if it's growing is not only foolish, it is destructive. The sacred interval is for the roots to grow deep. When you plant a great oak tree, The majority of its growth in the first years happens underground, in the dark, where you cannot see it. It is building a vast, strong root system. This is what allows it to later withstand the storms and winds of the world. A creation that manifests too quickly, without this deep rooting in your own being, is often a shallow and temporary thing. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, knows this. The time lag is not a punishment, it is a gift. It is the time needed for the foundation to be properly built. And here is a deeper truth. The time lag is not just for the manifestation to assemble itself. The time lag is for you. It is the precise amount of time needed for you to grow into the person who is a stable vibrational match for your desire. If $1 million appeared in your account tomorrow, would you truly be able to handle it? Would you have the emotional maturity, the financial wisdom, the inner sense of worthiness to manage it with grace? Or would the old frequencies of fear and lack quickly sabotage you, causing you to lose it all? The universe is not just giving you what you want, it is transforming you into the person who is ready to have it. The sacred interval is your chrysalis. It is the time you are given to shed the old skin of the caterpillar and to strengthen the wings of the butterfly. To see time as an enemy is to fight against your own becoming. To see time as a sacred, loving, and intelligent medium is to align with the grace of your own unfolding. This is how you use time as a currency. Every moment that you choose to invest in peace, every hour you spend holding the frequency of faith, every day you live as if with joyful trust, you are paying your dues in the only currency the cosmos recognizes. Every moment you fall into the trap of impatience, you are squandering this sacred currency. You are taking a step away from your own harvest. Therefore, patience is not a passive, resigned waiting. Patience is active, vibrant, militant faith. It is the conscious and deliberate choice to align with the rhythm of the universe, moment by moment. It is a profound declaration of trust. It is looking at the mirror while it still shows the old reflection, and holding your smile anyway, not with strain, but with a deep, quiet, unshakable knowing. You understand that time is not your adversary. Time is the very fabric in which your creation is being woven. But this brings a natural question to the forefront of the mind. If our job is to trust the process and not interfere, does this mean we do nothing at all? Do we simply sit in a room and wait for our desires to fall from the sky? There is a place for action in this philosophy, but it is a new kind of action. It is not the frantic, desperate action born of impatience. It is an action that arises from the deepest stillness, an action that is so effortless and powerful that it can move mountains. We have made peace with time. You understand now that the sacred interval between planting and harvest is not a void to be endured, but a fertile gestation period to be honored. You have learned to embrace patience, not as a passive resignation, but as an active and vibrant faith. This understanding, however, leads to a crucial and practical question that the mind, accustomed to the logic of the world, must ask. Does this mean I do nothing? Do I simply sit in silent meditation and wait for wealth, health, and happiness to be delivered to my door? The answer is no. But the action you will now take is of a radically different nature than any you have taken before. The world has taught you that mountains are moved by brute force, by straining muscles, by loud and effortful toil. The alchemist knows the truth. The greatest force in the universe is not found in noise and struggle. Mountains are moved by a stillness so profound, so focused, and so aligned with the cosmic flow that it makes action inevitable, effortless, and devastatingly effective. Let us draw a clear distinction between the two kinds of action. The first is the action of the ego, the action of the wanting mind. This is the energy of hustle. It is born from fear and fueled by the symphony of scarcity. It is the frantic activity of a person who believes, at their core, that if they do not struggle, they will not survive. This egoic action always feels heavy. It feels like you are pushing a massive boulder up a steep hill. Your shoulders are tense, your jaw is clenched, and your mind is constantly calculating, worrying, and strategizing. It is driven by the voice that says, "I have to do this. I must make this happen." It leads inevitably to exhaustion, resentment, and burnout because it is powered by your own limited personal energy source, which is finite. This is the action that glorifies being busy over being effective. It is the energy of running on a treadmill. Immense effort, but no forward movement. It is the noise of the marketplace, the desperate chase that we have sworn to leave behind. The second kind of action is inspired action. This is the action that arises from the great silence. It is born not from fear, but from a state of deep trust and alignment. It is the energy of flow. Its defining characteristic is a feeling of lightness and effortlessness. When you take inspired action, it does not feel like you are pushing the boulder. It feels like the ground has tilted, and the boulder is gently rolling downhill on its own, and your job is to simply walk alongside it and guide its path. It is not fueled by have to, but by a gentle, intuitive whisper that says, "This feels right. This feels like the next joyful step." This action is not draining, it is energizing. It is often simple, direct, and surprisingly effective. It is the universe acting through you, not because of you. This is the stillness that moves mountains. It is the quiet confidence of a river that knows, without a single doubt, that it will reach the sea, not by struggling against the landscape, but by following the natural path of least resistance. To understand how to live in this state of flow, let us observe a true master of inspired action, a cat hunting its prey. The cat does not run around the field in a panic, hoping to randomly stumble upon a mouse. That would be egoic action, a waste of precious energy. Instead, the cat demonstrates the 3 stages of perfect, still creation. First, there is the stillness. The cat finds a strategic vantage point and becomes a sculpture of living potential. Its body is relaxed, yet every fiber of its being is intensely alert. It is not asleep. It is in a state of total presence, a state of profound, watchful, silent readiness. This is the state you have been cultivating. This is you, abiding in the great silence, your inner peace unshaken, trusting that the field of life contains your desire. Second, there is the signal. The cat does not decide when or where the mouse will appear. It trusts the reality of the field. It waits, not with anxious impatience, but with calm certainty. And then a signal comes, the faintest rustle in the grass, the twitch of a whisker, a scent on the wind. It is an undeniable impulse from the outer world that resonates with its inner intention. Third, there is the pounce. The moment the signal is received, the cat does not form a committee. It does not weigh the pros and cons. It does not second-guess itself. It explodes from stillness into motion. The action is instantaneous, precise, efficient, and utterly graceful. There is not a single wasted movement. The pounce is a perfect, seamless, and inevitable extension of the stillness that came before it. This is our model for living. Our primary work is to cultivate the stillness, to abide in the alert, peaceful presence of our true nature. We are not anxiously looking for signs, because that is the energy of lack. We are simply open, aware, and trusting. Then the signals will come. An inspired action is a signal from the universe. It might be a sudden, clear idea that appears in your mind during meditation, a thought that feels light and exciting. It might be a phone call out of the blue from an old acquaintance. It might be an urge to drive down a street you do not normally travel, where you see a for rent sign on your dream apartment. It could be a book that literally falls off a shelf in front of you. It could be a conversation you overhear that sparks a revolutionary business idea. These are the rustles in the grass. So how do you distinguish a true inspired action from the anxious plotting of the ego? There are clear markers. Inspired action always feels light. The thought of it brings a sense of expansion or even relief. Egoic action feels heavy, like another chore on your to-do list. Inspired action is often simple and sometimes even illogical. The ego loves complex, multi-step plans that it can control. Inspiration often whispers a single, simple next step. Call that person, write that one page, go for a walk by the river. Finally, inspired action comes with a sense of peace, not urgency. It feels like a quiet, deep knowing. The ego's ideas are usually accompanied by a frantic, fearful energy. I have to do this right now or I'll miss my chance. When the signal of true inspiration comes, your task is to emulate the cat. You act, you pounce. You do it without hesitation, without overthinking, and without needing to know what the next 10 steps will be. You simply take the one, joyful, effortless step that is being offered to you. By living in this way, you are co-creating with the cosmos in a beautiful, elegant dance. You hold the stillness. The universe provides the signals. You perform the simple, joyful actions. The universe then rearranges itself in response and provides the next signal. It is a life of grace, not of grind. You learn to trust the nudges, the whispers, the intuitive pulls that arise from the silent center of your being. You begin to see that the universe is constantly trying to help you, constantly trying to guide you down the path of least resistance towards your highest good. Your only job is to be still enough to hear the guidance and trusting enough to act on it when it comes. And you will find that one of the most powerful inspired actions you can take, one that does more to align you with this graceful flow than almost any other, is the constant, moment-to-moment practice of genuine appreciation. For this appreciation is the very thing that opens the channel for more grace to pour into your life. It is the golden key that unlocks every door. We have explored the great truth that the most powerful action arises not from frantic effort, but from a place of profound stillness. You have learned to become like the master cat, waiting in serene, alert presence for the signal from the universe, and then acting with effortless precision. This is the dance of co-creation. Now, we must learn the music to which this dance is set. We must attune ourselves to the underlying melody of the cosmos, the single frequency that makes the dance of life one of effortless grace rather than clumsy struggle. This music, this master frequency that opens all channels and aligns all energies, is the vibration of gratitude. But we must proceed with great care, for the very word gratitude has been coated with so many layers of superficial understanding that its true alchemical power has been almost entirely forgotten. The world has taught you that gratitude is a form of politeness, a transactional response. It is the thank you say after you have received a gift. It is a reaction to a past event. This understanding, while socially useful, is creatively impotent. It keeps you in a state of waiting, believing that a positive external event must occur first, before you are permitted to feel the positive emotion of thankfulness. It reinforces the lie that your inner state is a product of your outer world. Furthermore, for many on a path of self-development, the practice of gratitude has become another chore on a spiritual to-do list. You have been told to keep a gratitude journal, and so you mechanically list 5 things before you go to sleep. My car, my job, my house. You write the words, but you feel nothing. There is no emotional resonance, no shift in your state of being. The practice becomes a hollow echo, another form of striving that leaves you feeling empty, wondering why the promised magic is not working. Let us discard these shallow definitions. The gratitude we speak of here is not a polite response or a mechanical exercise. It is alchemical gratitude. It is a profound and powerful creative force. It is not a reaction to the past. It is the very energy that shapes the future. Alchemical gratitude is the state of being thankful before the evidence has appeared. It is the unwavering faith that the gift has already been given, that the prayer has already been answered, that the seed planted in the void is already drawing life unto itself in the unseen world. It is the frequency of the wish already fulfilled. To inhabit this state is to align yourself with the fundamental creative law of the universe and to wield the golden key that unlocks every door. To understand its power, we must look at the pure energetics of this state. Gratitude is the ultimate antidote to the frequency of scarcity. It is a spiritual and psychological impossibility to feel genuine, heartfelt gratitude and the gnawing feeling of lack at the very same time. The two vibrations are mutually exclusive. They cannot occupy the same space within your consciousness. The feeling of lack, the worry, the fear, the envious, a state of contraction. It constricts your energy field, it shallows your breath, it tenses your muscles, it releases the stress hormones of cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream. It is the frequency of "I do not have enough." Gratitude is a state of pure expansion. When you feel genuine gratitude, your heart center opens, your breathing deepens, your body relaxes, and your brain releases the neurochemicals of connection and joy. It is the frequency of "I have more than enough. My cup runneth over." Therefore, every moment you spend deliberately cultivating the feeling of gratitude, you are actively canceling out the signal of lack. You are rewriting your vibrational signature from one of poverty to one of immense wealth. This is the law of resonance at its most potent. We have spoken of your being as a tuning fork, vibrating at a certain frequency and attracting resonant realities. Gratitude is the most direct and effective way to tune this instrument. When you are complaining, you are striking the tuning fork of your soul to the note of problem, and the universe, the great mirror, dutifully brings you more problems to complain about. When you are worrying, you are vibrating at the frequency of doubt, and the universe brings you more circumstances that cause you to doubt. When you embody the state of gratitude, you are striking the tuning fork of your soul to the pure, clear note of blessing. You are vibrating with the energy of having already received. And the universe, which is an obedient mirror, has no choice but to bring you more experiences, more situations, more people, and more things that cause you to feel even more gratitude. You see now, gratitude is not the end of the process. It is the engine of the process. It is the magnetic force that draws your desired reality out of the realm of potential and into the world of form. Think of gratitude as a universal solvent. Over the years, your energy system has developed hardened crystals of resentment, bitterness, and regret. You hold a grievance against a person who wronged you. You hold regret over a past mistake. These are not just memories. They are dense, low, frequency energy patterns that you are holding in your body. They are blocks in your channel, like stones in the river, disrupting the flow of well-being. Gratitude is the sacred water that can dissolve these hardened crystals. This is the advanced practice, the alchemist's fire. It requires you to bring to mind a difficult situation from your past. You are not asked to be grateful for the pain or the injustice. You are asked to search diligently for the gold that was hidden within that lump of coal. What did you learn from that painful breakup that made you a wiser, more compassionate person? What strength did you discover in yourself during that period of financial hardship? How did that supposed failure force you onto a new, more authentic path that you never would have found otherwise? When you can genuinely, from your heart, feel gratitude, not for the event, but for the growth the event forced upon you, the hardened crystal of resentment dissolves. The energy that was trapped within it is released, and your entire being becomes lighter and more powerful. This is the art of transmuting the lead of your past into the gold of your present. Let us now engage in the sacred practice itself. Let us move beyond theory and into the living, breathing experience of alchemical gratitude. This is a meditation in 4 layers. Find your quiet space, close your eyes, and enter the stillness. The first layer is gratitude for the given. This is the foundation. Bring to mind one person, one place, or one thing in your life that you genuinely love. It could be your child, your pet, your favorite chair, the roof over your head. Do not just name it. Let the feeling of appreciation for it rise up within you. If you think of your pet, feel the unconditional love you have for them. Feel the joy of their presence. Let that warm feeling of thankfulness spread from your heart throughout your entire body. Linger here, marinate in this feeling. This is the baseline frequency. The second layer is gratitude for the unseen. Now we go deeper. Bring your awareness to your own body. Feel gratitude for your lungs, which have been breathing for you every moment of your life, without a single command from you. Feel gratitude for your heart, that tireless warrior, which has been beating for you, pumping life through your veins since before you were born. Feel gratitude for the trillions of cells performing an impossibly complex dance to create the miracle of you. Now, expand this outward. Feel gratitude for the chair that is supporting you, and for the chain of events and people that had to exist for this chair to be here. Feel gratitude for the very air you are breathing, a free and invisible gift from the planet. Feel the pull of gravity, a silent, unseen force that holds you lovingly to the earth and keeps you from floating off into space. Cultivate a sense of profound, silent awe for the infinite, unseen miracles that are sustaining your existence in this very second. The third layer is gratitude for the scars. This is the alchemist's fire. Gently, without force, allow a memory of a past challenge to surface, a time of difficulty, of pain, of loss. Do not immerse yourself in the pain. Stay present as the silent watcher. Now, ask your higher wisdom, where was the gift in this? What gold was hidden in this darkness? Did you discover a hidden strength you never knew you had? Did it teach you the meaning of compassion? Did it remove a person or situation from your life that was ultimately holding you back, even though it hurt at the time? Search for the lesson, the strength, the wisdom that was forged in that fire. And when you find it, allow a feeling of profound, sincere gratitude to wash over that memory. Thank the experience for the powerful soul it has helped you to become. This is the act of healing your timeline. The fourth and final layer is gratitude for the future. This is the ultimate creative act. Now, bring to mind the desire you planted in the void, the answered prayer, the fulfilled wish, and feel, in every cell of your being, the feeling of gratitude as if it has already happened. Feel the profound relief that the problem is solved. Feel the deep joy that the dream is now your reality. Let the words, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," echo in your heart, not as a request, but as a statement of fact. Feel it in your body. How does it feel to have already received it? Does your body expand? Does your heart feel light? Marinate in this feeling. This is you closing the creative loop. This is you, aligning your energy perfectly and completely with the reality you have chosen. You are becoming the smiling face in the mirror, giving the universe no choice but to smile back. When you emerge from this practice, carry its resonance with you. Let gratitude cease to be an exercise you perform and instead become the very atmosphere in which you live. Walk through your world with a heart that is constantly, quietly whispering thank you to existence itself. This is the golden key. It unlocks the flow, it heals the past, and it creates the future. It is the language of grace, the native tongue of the universe. But as you stand now, holding this golden key, feeling its warmth and power, a final, deeper question may arise from the shadows. A quiet, insidious voice may whisper, "This is a beautiful key, but are you sure the kingdom it opens is for you? Do you truly deserve to enter?" To finally and completely unlock the gates of abundance, we must face this last guard at the door. We must confront the illusion of our own unworthiness. We must realize, once and for all, that we are not just seeking the treasure, we are the treasure we seek. We have arrived at the deepest chamber of the alchemist's laboratory, the very heart of the great work. We have spoken of stillness and silence, of frequencies and focus, of patience and inspired action. We have spoken of gratitude, that golden key capable of unlocking the floodgates of universal abundance. You may practice all of these things with diligence and sincerity. You may sit in silence for hours, hold your intention with perfect focus, and cultivate a heart full of thankfulness. And yet, you may find the grand manifestation still eludes you. You may feel a persistent, invisible barrier between you and the good you seek. If so, it is because we must now confront the foundational lie upon which the entire empire of scarcity is built. It is a single poisonous whisper that has echoed through the corridors of your soul for a lifetime. It is the whisper that says, "I am not worthy." It is this belief, this deep-seated feeling of inadequacy, that acts as a repellent shield, deflecting the very blessings that are trying to reach you. Today, we are not here to build your worthiness. You cannot build what is already infinite. We are here to dismantle the lie, to tear down the prison of unworthiness, so that you may finally see the treasure you have been searching for has been you all along. First, you must understand that your feeling of unworthiness is not a divine decree. It is not an objective truth about you. It is a piece of inherited programming, a psychic virus you contracted from a sick world. Where did it come from? You learned it from parents who, in their own pain, may have made their love and approval conditional upon your performance. You absorbed it from a society that relentlessly teaches you to compare yourself to others, a game that is rigged for you to always feel like you are falling short. You were taught it by educational systems that graded and ranked you, reducing your infinite potential to a number on a page. You internalized it from religious doctrines that spoke of original sin, convincing you that you were born flawed, broken, and in need of redemption from an outside source. Look closely at the origins of this feeling. It was never yours. It was given to you. It is a second-hand coat, heavy and ill-fitting, and you have simply been wearing it for so long that you have mistaken it for your own skin. Today is the day you take it off. The ego, the phantom self we have spoken of, has a secret and perverse attachment to this feeling of unworthiness. Why? Because a being who knows their own infinite, inherent worth has no need for an ego. An ego is a manager of lack, a strategist for a life of struggle. Its entire identity is built around the quest to become worthy. It loves the game of chasing achievements, accumulating possessions, and seeking the approval of others, because these activities give it a purpose, a reason to exist. If you were to fully accept your worthiness right now, the ego's job would become obsolete. The frantic manager would be fired. And so, to ensure its own survival, the ego fiercely defends the lie of your inadequacy. It will be the voice that whispers, "Who do you think you are?" when you dare to dream big. It will remind you of all your past failures when you try to feel faith. It defends the walls of your prison because it has appointed itself the warden, and it is terrified of being out of a job. Consider the flawed, insane logic of having to earn your worth. Does the sun have to earn its right to shine? Does it perform good deeds and wait for the universe to grant it permission to radiate light and warmth? Does the ocean have to prove itself to be vast and mighty? Does a mountain have to climb another mountain to be considered majestic? These things are what they are. Their existence is their worthiness. Their being is their value. And you are not separate from them. You are a direct and unique expression of the very same creative intelligence that sculpted the mountains and ignited the stars. Your existence is your permission slip. Your desire is the universe desiring to experience itself through you. When you declare yourself unworthy of wealth, you are telling the universe it is not allowed to experience abundance through the unique portal that is you. When you declare yourself unworthy of love, you are blocking the cosmic flow of love from expressing itself in your corner of reality. Your worthiness is not a personal achievement to be proud of. It is a cosmic responsibility you must finally accept. Let us use our metaphor. A single rosebud does not look at the ancient towering oak tree beside it and think, "I am so small and insignificant. I am not as strong as that oak. I am not worthy of the sun." It does not strive to become an oak tree. It knows its own nature. It simply, quietly, and patiently draws upon the nourishment that is freely offered to it. The sun, the rain, the soil-land. It focuses on one single, sacred task: to bloom, to unfold its petals, and release its unique fragrance into the world. It is not trying to impress the other flowers. It is not trying to earn the approval of the gardener. It is engaged in a pure, joyful act of self-expression. You are this rose. Your soul's purpose is not to struggle and strive to prove you are as good as the oak tree. Your purpose is to accept the infinite nourishment of the universe, which is your birthright, and to bloom into the most magnificent, unique expression of you that you can possibly be. To withhold your blooming because you have judged yourself unworthy is the only true failure. Let us now, in the quiet of this moment, perform the sacred act of reclamation. This is not an affirmation to convince yourself of something that is not true. This is a declaration of a truth that has always been, a truth you are finally ready to remember. Let these words sink beneath the chattering mind and into the soil of your being. Take a breath. I am not a seeker of treasure. I am the treasure itself. I am not a vessel waiting to be filled. I am the eternal wellspring from which all abundance flows. My worth is not measured by my achievements or my bank account. My worth is as vast and unconditional as the sky. My past mistakes were lessons, not life sentences. They do not define my value. I release the need for anyone else's approval or validation. My own breath is my validation. My own existence is my permission to receive all good. I am not a sinner in need of redemption. I am an expression of the divine, worthy of all the love, all the joy, all the wealth the universe has to offer. I am not becoming worthy. I am simply remembering that I always have been. Feel the resonance of this truth. It is not arrogant. It is profoundly peaceful. Arrogance comes from the ego, which needs to shout about its value because it secretly believes it has none. True worthiness is silent, confident, and serene. It has nothing to prove. When you begin to live from this state, your entire orientation to life shifts. You stop acting from a place of trying to prove your worth, and you start acting from a place of expressing your worth. You no longer ask, "What must I do to get love?" but rather, "As a being who is love, how shall I express that today?" You no longer ask, "What must I do to get rich?" but rather, "As a being of infinite abundance, what joyful creations shall I bring forth into the world?" This is the shift from a beggar to a sovereign. This realization that you are the treasure you seek is the true gold. It is the philosopher's stone that transmutes the lead of your old life into the light of a new one. It is the end of the desperate search for something outside of you to complete you or to validate you. When you know, in your bones, that you are the treasure, then all the outer treasures of the world, the money, the accolades, the relationships cease to be a desperate need. They become, instead, a delightful reflection, a joyful confirmation of the magnificent truth you have finally claimed within yourself. But this claim, this knowing, is not meant to be just an intellectual idea, a concept you hold in your head. It is a vibrational reality, a truth that your entire being can recognize and verify. Your physical body, that wise and honest instrument, is a perfect barometer for this truth. It knows when you are aligned with your inherent worth, and it knows when you are believing the lie of scarcity. To stabilize this newfound knowing, we must now learn to listen to the unerring wisdom of the body. You have now stood in the light of your own magnificence. You have looked upon the foundational truth that your worth is not a prize to be won, but a universe to be inhabited. You are the treasure. This is the core realization, the central sun around which your new reality will orbit. But a realization held only in the mind can be a fragile thing, a beautiful concept easily shattered by the next wave of doubt or the next harsh word from the outer world. To make this truth unshakable, to root it so deeply in your being that it becomes your new nature, you must learn to recognize its resonance not in your thoughts, but in your flesh and in your bones. You must move from merely thinking you are worthy to feeling the truth of it in your very cells. For this, we must turn to the most honest and intelligent oracle you will ever possess, your physical body. For centuries, you have been taught to distrust it, to see it as a mere vehicle for your brain, a fleshy machine prone to weakness and decay. Today, we reclaim its sacred purpose. Your body is not a machine. It is a living, breathing barometer of truth, an infallible compass pointing always toward your soul's true north. Why have we become so profoundly disconnected from this inner wisdom? We live in the shadow of a great forgetting. The traditions of the modern world, for all their technological marvels, have been built upon a fundamental schism between mind and body. Philosophers taught us, "I think, therefore I am," placing the rational, thinking mind upon a golden throne and demoting the body to the status of a servant, or worse, a beast to be tamed. Our educational systems reinforced this, rewarding intellectual achievement while often ignoring or even punishing the body's need for movement, rest, and intuitive expression. Corporate culture has demanded that we push through our exhaustion, ignore the gut feeling that a business deal is wrong, and suppress our authentic emotional responses in the name of a cold professionalism. We have been systematically conditioned, from our earliest days, to sever the connection to our own physical vessel, to live our lives from the neck up, trapped in the noisy, anxious labyrinth of our own thoughts. But the body never forgets. It is the subconscious mind made manifest. It is the living library of your entire existence. Every joy you have ever felt, every fear you have ever suppressed, every trauma you have never healed it, is all stored not as a conceptual memory in the brain, but as a physical pattern in your tissues. The chronic tension in your shoulders is the physical residue of all the burdens you have carried. The persistent tightness in your jaw is the uncried grief and the unexpressed anger you have swallowed. The knot in your stomach is the physical address of your deepest fears. Your body is a map of your soul's journey. And because it holds this unfiltered truth, it cannot lie. The mind is a master of self-deception. It can create elegant justifications for staying in a job that is killing your spirit. It can rationalize staying in a relationship that feels like a prison, but the body will tell the truth. It will scream the truth through illness, through tension, through exhaustion, through 1,000 subtle signals, begging you to listen. Today, we learn its language. The language of the body, the language of truth, is exquisitely simple. It is a universal, pre-verbal vocabulary of two fundamental words, expansion and contraction. That is the entirety of its grammar. To become fluent is to become a master of your own life. Contraction is the body's absolute and unwavering number. It is the unmistakable signal that a thought you are thinking, a word you are speaking, or an action you are considering is out of alignment with your deepest integrity, with your soul's purpose. Contraction has many textures. It can feel like a sudden heaviness, a lethargy that descends upon your limbs when you contemplate doing something out of obligation. It can feel like a coldness or a numbness, a shutting down of your life force when you are in the presence of a person or environment that drains you. It manifests as shallow breathing, your body's automatic preparation for a perceived threat. It can be a sour, unpleasant feeling in your gut, a visceral sense of repulsion, or it can be a vague, persistent, and unsettling feeling that something is simply off, even if your rational mind can find no evidence to support it. When you think about taking that safe job that holds no joy for you, and you feel a subtle clenching in your solar plexus, that is your soul speaking through your body, screaming, "No." When you are about to agree to a plan that violates your own need for rest, and you feel your throat tighten, that is your body's truth. Pay attention to this feeling. It is your most loyal guardian. Expansion, on the other hand, is the body's joyful, resonant, and unmistakable yes. It is the physical signal that you are aligned with truth, with love, with inspiration, with your highest path. It is the feeling of your own energy field opening up, becoming more vibrant and more alive. Like contraction, expansion has many beautiful textures. It can feel like a sudden lightness, a sense of buoyancy, as if a great weight has been lifted from your shoulders. It often manifests as a gentle, spreading warmth, particularly in the area of your heart or your belly. When you are in a state of expansion, your breath naturally deepens and slows, signaling to your nervous system that you are safe, that you are home. It can be a sweet feeling, a sense of rightness and deep resonance that has no logical explanation. And sometimes it can manifest as a delightful tingling sensation, a frisson of energetic excitement that runs up your arms or the back of your neck when you hear a profound truth or stumble upon a perfect idea. This is the feeling of your soul crying out, yes. When you consider starting that creative project you have been dreaming of, and you feel that bubbling, expansive energy in your chest, that is your truth. When you meet a new person and in their presence, you feel your body relax and your heart open, that is your truth. This is your divine compass, always pointing you toward your true north. So how do we move from understanding this, in theory, to using it as a practical tool for daily navigation? We begin with the sacred practice of re-inhabitation. We must consciously return our awareness to the home we have neglected. I invite you now to do so. Close your eyes. Drop your attention out of the noisy attic of your mind and let it descend like a gentle elevator down into your body. Bring your awareness first to the inner life of your hands. Without moving them, can you feel the subtle field of energy tingling within them? Now move your awareness to your feet. Feel them on the floor. Feel the life force within them. Slowly scan your entire body, not as an object, but as a vibrant field of living energy. Simply feel. This act of feeling reconnects the severed pathways. It is the first step. Now, we calibrate the compass. Gently bring to mind a memory where you knew, with absolute certainty, that you should have said no, but you said yes. Do not get lost in the story. Just recall the moment and notice what your body felt like. Locate that feeling of contraction. This is your personal signature for no. Now, let that go. Bring to mind a memory of pure, unadulterated joy, a moment where everything felt perfectly right. A time you laughed until you cried. Where did you feel that in your body? Was it a warmth in your chest? A lightness in your head? This is your personal signature for yes. By identifying these feelings, you are calibrating your instrument. With this calibrated compass, you can now practice somatic inquiry. When you need guidance on a decision, enter your silence. Propose the first option to your body. Show me the feeling of accepting this offer. Then be still and witness the first instantaneous somatic response. Contraction or expansion, heaviness or lightness. Then clear the slate. and propose the second option. Show me the feeling of declining this offer and waiting for something better. And again, witness the response. The body's first flicker of feeling, before the mind begins its long and convoluted debate, is the voice of your intuition. Trust it above all else. Use this to test your beliefs. Silently state the old lie. I am not good enough. Feel the inevitable contraction, the subtle shrinking of your energy. Then state the truth. I am an infinite being of light, worthy of all good. And feel for the flicker of expansion, the breath of relief. By doing this, you are using your body to literally rewrite the code of your subconscious mind. To trust this inner compass, especially when it contradicts what seems logical, is an act of profound courage and faith. The mind will offer you 1,000 reasons why you should take the contractive path. It will speak the language of fear, of scarcity, of being realistic. Your body will only ever speak the one-word language of your soul. To choose the path of expansion, even when it makes no logical sense, is to finally align yourself with the wisdom of the universe. It is to surrender your small, fearful plans to the grand, benevolent design of the river. When you learn to live this way, guided not by external circumstances but by the unerring barometer of your own body, you stop struggling. You stop swimming against the current. You find yourself, as if by magic, carried by a current of grace. You have found the flow. You have entered the river of abundance. You have now claimed the truth of your own worthiness. You have learned to listen to the subtle, unerring wisdom of your own body, your most honest and intimate guide. As you continue to honor this inner compass, consistently choosing the path of expansion and gently stepping away from the path of contraction, you will find that your entire experience of life begins to shift. You cease to feel like you are hacking your way through a dense and hostile jungle. Instead, you feel yourself arriving at the water's edge. And here, at the threshold of this new reality, you are presented with a choice, for there are two great rivers that flow through the landscape of human consciousness. You must choose which one you will enter. The first is the river of scarcity. This is where most of humanity has been swimming for millennia. Its waters are murky and turbulent, churned by the winds of fear and the undercurrents of competition. The river is filled with the debris of past failures and future anxieties. Its banks are lined not with lush greenery, but with the jagged rocks of judgment and comparison. To be in this river is to be in a constant state of struggle. You see others as rivals, fighting for the same limited resources. You are frantically treading water, your energy consumed by the simple act of staying afloat. You gasp for breath, and your eyes dart around nervously, looking for the next threat or the next piece of driftwood, a temporary job, a fleeting success to cling to for a moment of relief. This is the river of survival. It is noisy, it is exhausting, and it flows in a circle, always returning you to the same state of desperate effort. But flowing parallel to this chaotic torrent, often just out of sight, is another river. This is the river of abundance. Its waters are deep, clear, and calm. Its current is powerful and purposeful, moving with an unhurried grace towards an ocean of infinite possibility. The banks of this river are fertile and green, teeming with life. To be in this river is to experience a completely different reality. Here, you are not treading water, you are held by it. You are buoyant. You can float on your back and gaze at the endless sky, trusting the current to carry you. You can swim with the flow, feeling its immense power augmenting your own, creating a sensation of joyful, effortless movement. This is the river of thriving. It is a state of grace, of synchronicity, of profound peace. For your entire journey up to this point, you have been learning how to step out of the murky waters of scarcity, walk across the shore of self-realization, and slip into the crystalline, healing current of abundance. Your work now is to learn how to stay in this river, to make it your permanent home. To do this, you must first become intimately familiar with the anatomy of resistance. You must understand, in your very bones, why you so often choose to cling to the shore instead of entering the water. The shore represents the known. It may be a painful, uncomfortable, and limiting shore, but it is familiar. The ego equates familiarity with safety. The river, with its unknown bends and turns, represents the future, the great unknown. And so the ego, in its terror of uncertainty, will choose a familiar suffering over an unknown joy. It will convince you to lock your hands onto a branch extending from the bank, believing this act of clinging is what keeps you safe. Let us look closely at these branches, for you have been holding them your entire life. One of the thickest branches is the branch of your own identity. You cling to the story of who you think you are, your past traumas, your perceived limitations, your family history, your professional title. I am the person who always struggles with money. I am the person who is unlucky in love. These stories, while painful, provide a solid, predictable identity. To let go and enter the river would mean allowing that identity to be washed away, to dissolve in the current. To the ego, this feels like annihilation, and it will resist with all its might. Another branch is the branch of control. This is the desperate need to micromanage your life, to know the how and the when of your manifestation. You believe that if you can just plan for every contingency, you can prevent failure. This branch cuts your hands and drains your energy as you spend your days in a state of hypervigilance, trying to impose your limited will on an infinitely intelligent universe. Closely related is the branch of worry. You cling to it, believing that your anxiety is a productive activity, a kind of magical incantation that will ward off disaster. You believe that if you stop worrying, you are being irresponsible. In truth, your worry is a prayer for what you do not want, a state of resistance that guarantees a bumpy ride. Then there is the heavy branch of others' opinions. You stand shivering at the water's edge, wanting to jump in, but you are paralyzed by the fear of what the others on the shore will say. Who does she think she is? He's going to fail. You choose the prison of their approval over the freedom of your own authentic path. And perhaps the most seductive branch of all is the branch of justified grievance. You cling to the memory of how you were wronged, how you were hurt, how life has been unfair to you. This branch feels righteous. It gives you a sense of moral superiority. But it is the heaviest branch of all, a dead weight that anchors you so firmly to the painful past that you cannot even feel the pull of the river's current. All of these branches, all of these forms of resistance create an immense amount of energetic friction. It is the feeling of driving a car with the emergency brake engaged. The universe is the engine, trying to move you forward into grace, but your resistance is burning out the system, creating the heat of stress, the smoke of anxiety, and the eventual breakdown of burnout. The pivotal moment of your new life, the act that you will perform not once, but many times, is the sacred act of surrender. This is not the same as defeated resignation. Resignation is the sigh of the victim. I give up, life is just too hard. Surrender is the sigh of the master. I give this over to the wisdom of the river, for I trust its intelligence more than my own. It is a conscious and powerful choice to stop fighting your own life. Close your eyes for a moment. In your mind's eye, see yourself by the river. Feel the branch in your hands. Feel the ache in your muscles, the weariness in your soul from a lifetime of clinging. Now, feel the gentle, persistent, loving pull of the current. It is not trying to harm you. It is trying to carry you home. And make the choice. Consciously, deliberately, feel yourself uncurling your fingers one by one. Feel the rough bark leave your skin. And then, the moment of release. The branch is gone. The shore recedes. You are in the water, and you are not drowning. You are floating. You are held. You are free. This is life in the river. Agonizing decision-making becomes a thing of the past. In the state of resistance, you are constantly faced with forking paths, and the mind struggles to weigh all the pros and cons. In the river, the current makes the choice obvious. There is a natural, intuitive pull in one direction, a feeling of rightness. It is less about deciding and more about discerning the path of least resistance, the current of expansion. And here, in the flow, synchronicity becomes your new language. It is no longer a rare and startling event, but the common grammar of your days. You will have a need, and the solution will present itself in the most unexpected and elegant way. You will be thinking about a specific problem, and the person with the exact expertise you require will sit next to you on a train. You will feel a nudge to enter a bookstore, and a book will seem to leap off the shelf, containing the very paragraph that unlocks your next great step. These are not accidents. This is the physics of flow. When you are in the current, all things that are resonant with that current are naturally drawn into your vortex. Your experience of time itself will begin to bend. An hour spent working on an inspired project will feel like 10 minutes. A deadline that seemed terrifyingly close will be met with an inexplicable sense of ease, as if time stretched to accommodate you. You have more time because you are no longer wasting 80% of your energy on the friction of resistance. Problems transform from being solid walls into being interesting puzzles presented by the river. A large boulder in your path is not a sign that you must stop. It is a sign that you must flow around it. And often, the solution will appear from a source you could never have predicted while you were standing on the shore. You are being constantly assisted by the unseen intelligence of the flow. Even your emotions become buoyant. A wave of sadness or fear might pass through you, like a dark leaf floating on the surface. But it no longer has the power to pull you under. You observe it, you acknowledge it, and you let it float by, because you are held by the vast, powerful and benevolent current of your own well-being. This river, this state of grace, is not something you must earn. It is your birthright. It is always flowing, waiting for you. The choice to let go of the shore is always available in every single moment. But to truly thrive in these waters, to ensure that the river that flows through you remains a mighty current and never dwindles into a stagnant pool, you must learn to embody its ultimate principle. You must understand that the river is not a one-way street. It is a living system of give and take. A healthy river receives water from the mountains, but it must also give itself freely to the ocean. To become the river, you must become a master of this divine exchange. You must learn the sacred law of circulation. You are now floating in the river of abundance. You have surrendered your struggle, let go of the thorny branches of control, and allowed the natural current of your life to carry you. The flow is gentle. The journey is one of grace, and you are beginning to witness the magic of synchronicity as the universe rearranges itself around your newfound peace. But to remain in this river, to ensure its waters stay fresh, vibrant, and ever-flowing, you must understand and embody its most essential principle. The river is not a destination, it is a process. And that process is one of constant, dynamic movement. The universe abhors a vacuum, but it equally abhors stagnation. Energy, like water, must circulate to remain alive. To become a master of the flow, you must graduate from being a simple passenger in the river to becoming the river itself. You must embody the sacred law of circulation. The mind conditioned by scarcity operates on a principle of accumulation. It believes that security is found in hoarding. It seeks to build a dam across the river of life, to stop the flow and create a private, static reservoir of its own. This desire to hoard is always born from a deep, primal fear, the fear that the river will one day run dry. The mind thinks, I must hold on to every drop of water I have, because there may be no more tomorrow. And so, it hoards money, living in constant anxiety of losing it. It hoards knowledge, becoming arrogant and isolated. It hoards love, withholding affection for fear of being hurt, and thus ensuring its own loneliness. But look what happens to the water in the reservoir behind the dam. Cut off from the living current, it begins to stagnate. It becomes murky, lifeless and putrid. The dam, which was built to create security, has become a prison of decay. The act of hoarding, born from the fear of lack, actually creates the very experience of lack itself. Most critically, by damming the outflow, you have also, by necessity, dammed the inflow. A river that does not flow out to the sea can no longer receive the fresh, vitalizing water from the mountain springs. A closed fist cannot receive a gift. By clinging tightly to what you have, you are sending a powerful signal to the universe that says, "I am closed, I am full, I cannot receive any more." And the universe, honoring your declaration, will cease to give. The healthy, abundant, and joyous life operates on the principle of circulation, which is perfectly mirrored in the act of breathing. Your breath is the most immediate and intimate teacher of this cosmic law. To live, you must inhale. You must receive the gift of oxygen from the world. But that is only half of the cycle. To receive your next life-giving breath, you must first let go of the one you are holding. You must exhale. You must give the gift of your carbon dioxide back to the plants. Is the exhale a loss? Is it a sacrifice? Of course not. It is the necessary and joyful release that creates the space for the next beautiful inhale. To hold your breath is to die. To live is to be in a constant, rhythmic, graceful flow of giving and receiving. Giving and receiving are not two opposing actions. They are a single, unified motion, like the inhale and exhale of a single breath, like the ebb and flow of a single tide. The universe breathes through you. When you give, you are the universe exhaling. When you receive, you are the universe inhaling. To resist either half of this cycle is to resist life itself. This understanding requires a fundamental shift in your identity. You are not a container, you are a conduit. Your purpose is not to be a dead-end reservoir, accumulating as much as you can before you die. Your purpose is to be a living channel, a clear and open vessel through which the infinite abundance of the universe can flow. The joy is not in the accumulation, but in the flow itself. A wider channel can handle a greater current. Your spiritual work, therefore, is to continually widen your channel, to become more open to both giving and receiving. And what is it that we are meant to circulate? It is everything. It is all energy. You circulate money. When you give money, not as a reluctant payment of a bill, but as a joyful contribution, a tip given with a smile, a gift given with an open heart, you are making a powerful statement of faith. You are telling the universe, "I trust in your infinite supply. I know more is on its way." This act of releasing money with joy breaks the back of the scarcity mindset. You circulate time and attention. When you give your full, undivided, present moment attention to another human being, without checking your phone or thinking about what you will say next, you are giving them a gift of pure energy that is more valuable than any amount of money. You circulate knowledge. When you learn something, teach it. Share your skills freely. In the old paradigm of scarcity, knowledge is power to be hoarded. In the new paradigm of flow, knowledge is energy to be circulated. The more you give it away, the more it solidifies within you, and the more new insights flow to you. You circulate praise and encouragement. See the good in others and speak it aloud. It costs you nothing, yet it circulates the golden frequency of worthiness and appreciation, which then must, by law, be reflected back to you. You circulate love. This does not require another person. You can sit in the silence and simply radiate a feeling of goodwill and compassion out to your community, to your city, to the world. You become a beacon of love, and like attracts like. The spirit in which you circulate this energy is everything. Giving from a place of fear or guilt is not true giving. If you give money resentfully or give a compliment hoping to receive one back, you are engaging in a transaction, not in circulation. That is the energy of the ego, and it is still a form of lack. True, alchemical giving arises from a feeling of fullness. It is the joyful exhale. It is the flower releasing its fragrance into the air, not because it has to, but because it is so full of its own essence that it cannot help but share it. It is giving without any thought of return, which is precisely why the return is guaranteed. It is an act of pure trust in the ever-flowing, inexhaustible river. By consciously choosing to live as a channel, you ensure your place in the heart of the river. You become a vortex of abundance, drawing resources to you so that they may flow through you and back out into the world in a beautiful, endless loop. You find that the more you give with joy, the more you receive with ease. Your life becomes a testament to the truth that the hand that gives is the hand that gathers. You have aligned yourself with the very heartbeat of the cosmos, the sacred rhythm of the inhale and the exhale. But this raises a final practical challenge. It is one thing to feel like an open channel when you are in quiet meditation or walking in nature. But how do you maintain this state of flow, this profound inner peace, when you are thrust back into the noise and demands of daily life? How do you keep the waters of your river clear when you are surrounded by the frantic energy of the marketplace? To achieve true mastery, you must learn to take your temple with you. You must learn how to build a monastery within the marketplace. We have journeyed far. We have navigated the inner landscapes of the mind, made peace with the sacred rhythm of time, and learned to live in the graceful current of the river of abundance. You understand the laws of energy, of circulation, of attraction. You have become, in essence, a finely tuned instrument, capable of resonating with the golden frequency of all good. But this instrument is not meant to be kept in a velvet-lined case, stored away in a quiet room, and only brought out for special occasions. It is meant to be played in the grand orchestra of life. The challenge now is to maintain this beautiful tuning, this inner harmony, amidst the cacophony of the world. For we do not live in secluded ashrams. We live in the marketplace. We have jobs, families, traffic, deadlines, and a constant stream of information and demands vying for our attention. The world will tempt you, at every turn, to fall back into the old frequencies of fear, stress, and scarcity. The common belief is that to find peace, one must retreat from this world. But that is the way of the novice. The way of the master is not to escape the storm, but to become the unshakable I within it. Today, we learn how to build a sanctuary that no chaos can breach. We learn how to build a monastery within the marketplace. Let us use a powerful image to guide us. Imagine your inner state of peace and awareness is a great lighthouse built on the solid rock of your connection to the great silence. The world, the marketplace, is a tempestuous sea. The crashing waves are the demands of your clients and your boss. The howling winds are the negative news cycles and the anxieties of those around you. The dark, swirling clouds are the collective fears of society. The storm is loud, unpredictable, and relentless. Now, what is the job of the lighthouse? It is not to calm the storm. The lighthouse has no power over the sea, nor does it desire any. To try and control the weather would be an act of futility and madness. The job of the lighthouse is simply this: to remain firmly rooted on its foundation, to stand stable and unmoved, no matter how violently the waves crash against its walls, and to continuously, tirelessly, shine its light. Its purpose is not to defeat the storm, but to be a beacon of clarity and guidance within it. You are this lighthouse. Your spiritual practice is not about trying to change everyone and everything around you. It is about cultivating an inner stability so profound that no external chaos can extinguish your light. This is true sovereignty. So how do we build the architecture of this inner monastery, this internal lighthouse that we can carry with us everywhere? We build it stone by stone, practice by practice, until it becomes our very nature. The first and most important room in our monastery is the sanctuary of the breath. Your breath is the portable, ever-present gateway to the great silence. The secret is to learn the art of the micro-meditation. You do not need an hour on a cushion to find your center. You can find it in 3 seconds. When the phone rings with a demanding client on the other end, before you answer, take one single conscious breath. Inhale presence, exhale tension. When you are stopped at a red light, feeling impatient, use that moment not to fume, but to feel one full cycle of your breath. Feel the air enter your body and feel it leave. When your child is screaming or your partner is upset, before you react from your own triggered state, anchor yourself with one conscious breath. Pepper your entire day with these tiny moments of return. Each one is like touching the foundation stone of your lighthouse, reminding you of the unshakable peace that is always available, right beneath the surface of the chaos. This practice weaves a thread of presence through the fabric of your day, ensuring you never stray too far from your center. The next room is the cloister of the inner body. The marketplace is a disembodying force. It pulls all of your energy up into your head, into a swirl of planning, worrying, and analyzing. To counteract this, you must practice relentlessly grounding yourself in your physical form. When you are in a tense meeting, feeling your anxiety rise, secretly bring a portion of your awareness to the feeling of aliveness in your hands, resting on your lap. Feel the subtle tingle, the warmth. No one will know you are doing it. But this simple act pulls your energy out of the mental drama and anchors it in the tangible reality of your body. When you feel overwhelmed by your to-do list, take a moment to feel your feet firmly planted on the floor. Feel the support of the earth beneath you. This practice of inhabiting your inner body builds a profound sense of stability. You are no longer a leaf blown about by the winds of circumstance. You are a tree, deeply rooted, drawing strength from the earth. We must also build a bell tower of observation. In a traditional monastery, a bell rings at certain hours to call the monks to prayer, to presence. In your inner monastery, you can learn to use the disruptive sounds of the marketplace as your bell. The next time a car alarm goes off, a dog barks incessantly, or a siren wails in the distance, instead of reacting with the usual wave of irritation, let that sound be your call to presence. Let it be a reminder. When the bell of the world rings, ask yourself, am I aware? Am I in my body? Am I breathing? In this way, you transform the greatest irritations of modern life into your most powerful allies for awakening. The noise no longer distracts you from your peace. It reminds you to deepen it. The world's chaos becomes the very tool you use to fortify your inner stillness. Finally, every monastery needs a strong gate to protect its sanctity. The gate of your inner monastery is the power of a conscious and compassionate no. The marketplace will constantly try to invade your peace with endless demands, requests, and obligations. A person who has not built their inner monastery says yes to everything out of fear of conflict or a desire to please, and then feels drained and resentful. The master of their inner world recognizes that their peace, their connection to the silence, is their most precious asset. You must learn to protect it. Before you agree to any request, you check in with your inner barometer. Does this feel expansive or contractive? Is this a yes or a no from my body? And if it is a no, you learn to speak that truth, simply, kindly, and without guilt. A conscious no to a request that would drain you is a powerful yes to your own inner sanctuary. It is an act of profound self-love. As you build and inhabit this inner monastery day by day, breath by breath, a remarkable transformation occurs. You realize that the monastery is not just a place you retreat to in your mind. You are the monastery. Your very presence begins to emanate the peace you have cultivated. You become the lighthouse. People will start to feel calmer around you without knowing why. Arguments will seem to dissolve in your presence. You are not doing anything. You are simply being the peace you have so diligently built within. You can now engage fully with the marketplace. You can be ambitious, creative, and effective. But you do it from a completely different state of being. You are in the world, but you are not of the world. You can play the game of life with skill and joy because you know your true home, your true wealth, is the untouchable sanctuary within you. You have mastered the flow of energy. You have learned to be the stillness that moves mountains. And this mastery, this embodiment, marks the final phase transition. You are no longer an alchemist in training, trying to turn lead into gold. You have transcended the need for the process, because you are ready for the final alchemy, to become gold itself. We have come to the end of the path, and to the true beginning. We began this journey together in the deafening noise of the marketplace, aware only of the chaotic symphony of scarcity. We dared to turn our gaze inward, to confront the tyranny of the wanting mind. We climbed the first mountain of self-observation, discovering the silent watcher within. From that peak, we stepped into the vast, fertile expanse of the great silence. There, in that sacred emptiness, we learned the secrets of creation, that the universe is a mirror, that time is a currency of faith, that gratitude is the golden key, and that our worth is not earned, but inherent. We learned to act from the stillness that moves mountains and to build an unshakable monastery within our own hearts. Each of these steps was a crucial stage in an ancient and sacred process. But you must now understand that all of this work, was never truly about learning how to get something. It was always about a process of becoming. The alchemist's great work was never about turning a pile of lead into a pile of gold. That was simply the outer metaphor for a far more profound inner transformation. The true purpose of the alchemist was to transmute the lead of his own conditioned, fearful consciousness into the pure, luminous, and incorruptible gold of an awakened being. The final alchemy is not what you have in your hand, it is who you have become. This is the great reversal that turns the world on its head. For your entire life, you have operated from the paradigm of having. You thought, I must have more money in order to feel secure. You thought, I must have the perfect partner in order to feel love. You thought, I must have the great success in order to feel worthy. This is the logic of the ego, the logic of the external search. The final alchemy is the complete and total shift to the paradigm of being. You no longer seek to have security. You realize that by connecting to the great silence within, you are security itself. And because you are security, the mirror of the universe must reflect material security back to you. You no longer seek to have love. You realize that by dissolving your inner conflicts, you are the love and wholeness you were seeking. And because you are love, loving relationships are naturally drawn into your field. You no longer seek to have worthiness through achievement. You know that you are worthiness itself, and achievements become a joyful game you play, not a desperate race you must win. This is the end of the chase. You have stopped seeking the destination because you have realized you are the destination. In this state, the nature of desire itself transforms. The needy, grasping, desperate wanting of the monkey mind dissolves. It cannot survive in the atmosphere of this profound inner fulfillment. It is not that you become a passionless stone with no preferences. Rather, your desires transform from desperate needs into playful preferences. You might prefer to drive a certain car or live in a certain house, but you no longer need those things to be happy or to feel whole. Your happiness is unconditional, drawn from the ever-present wellspring of the silence within. And here is the supreme paradox. The moment you no longer need a thing, you become a perfect vibrational match for receiving it. Your non-neediness, your inner completeness, is the most powerful creative signal you can possibly broadcast. It is the frequency of pure abundance, untainted by the static of desperation. This is the secret of the butterfly. The caterpillar does not attract wings. It does not write affirmations for wings or create a vision board of flying. It surrenders. It enters the chrysalis, a place of profound stillness and darkness, and it allows its old identity as a crawling, limited creature to completely dissolve. It lets go of everything it knows, and from that state of total surrender, from that fertile void, the magnificent wings emerge, not as something added on, but as the natural, inevitable expression of its new, transformed state of being. You have been in the chrysalis. You have dissolved the identity of lack. You are now emerging, not as a clever caterpillar who has learned how to attract gold, but as the golden butterfly itself, whose very nature is to fly in the sunlit air of freedom. What are the qualities of this new state of being? What does it feel like to be gold? First, it is a state of incorruptibility. Gold is a noble metal. It does not rust, tarnish, or decay. When you have become gold, your inner peace is incorruptible. The opinions of others, whether they praise you or criticize you, cannot touch your core. The fluctuations of the economy, the political storms, the daily dramas of the marketplace, they are seen as weather patterns that cannot stain the vast golden sky of your being. You have an unshakable center of gravity in the timeless, formless dimension of consciousness. Secondly, it is a state of luminosity. Gold does not need a spotlight to shine. It radiates its own gentle, warm light. A person who has become gold does not need to announce their arrival or prove their importance. Their presence itself carries a palpable light, a quiet confidence that emanates from their being. They bring a sense of peace and clarity into the rooms they enter, not by what they say or do, but simply by who they are. This is the natural light of pure awareness, shining through a vessel that has been cleared of the obstructions of fear and ego. Third, it is a state of inherent value. Gold is valuable not because of a judgment or an opinion, but because of its intrinsic nature. When you embody this golden state, you know your own value with an unshakable certainty that requires no external validation. You no longer look outside of yourself for proof that you are good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. This deep, quiet self-worth becomes your foundation, and the mirror of the world naturally begins to reflect this truth back to you. Respect, honor, and financial remuneration flow to you with ease, not as a prize you have won, but as a natural confirmation of the value you already know you embody. Finally, it is a state of generous malleability. Gold is not brittle. It is soft, it is workable, it can be shaped and shared. A person who is gold is not rigid, dogmatic, or hard. They are flexible, adaptable, and naturally generous. Because they are tapped into the infinite, inexhaustible source of the river, they have no fear of giving. They circulate their wisdom, their love, their resources, and their energy with the joyful ease of the sun shining its light, knowing that the source can never be depleted. This is the end of the search. All the tools we have discussed, the meditations, the observations, the practices, they were the scaffolding used to construct this magnificent inner temple. But now, the temple is complete. You are the temple. You no longer need to rely so heavily on the tools, because the state they were designed to create has become your natural way of being. Your ordinary state is now a meditative state. Your natural thought process is now a creative process. Your very existence has become the prayer, and your life has become the answer. The great alchemical work is finished. The lead was never the metal in the crucible. The lead was the old, fearful you. And the gold you have so diligently created is not the metal in your vault. It is the incorruptible, luminous, and precious light of your own awakened soul. And so, We arrive at the beginning. Our journey through the inner corridors of the self, through the quiet halls of the silent monastery, has reached its conclusion. You came here, perhaps, seeking the monk's guide to manifesting gold. You hoped for a secret technique, a hidden map to an outer treasure, and the secret has been given. The map has been revealed. It is this: you must stop seeking the gold and instead become the silence from which gold is born. The silence is the alchemist's stone. The silence is the fertile void. The silence is the gold. It was never outside of you. The treasure you have been seeking is the very peace you feel in this moment. The wealth you have been chasing is the richness of your own silent, aware presence. You do not need to attract it. You only need to be it. Carry this understanding with you, not as a thought in your head, but as a feeling in your heart, a stillness in your bones. Let this be your only practice now, your constant meditation. Do not seek, do not want, do not chase. Simply be. Be the silent, watchful awareness behind your thoughts. Be the vast, open sky that holds the passing clouds of your emotions. Be the deep, quiet riverbed that allows the currents of life to flow without resistance. Rest in the profound truth of your own being, that empty, luminous, and peaceful space that exists prior to all form. From this state of pure being, all that is meant for you will come, not with the strain of effort, but with the grace of a falling leaf, with the ease of a breath. You have aligned yourself with the source of all creation. You need do nothing more. The work is done, the journey is over, and your real life, the life of effortless gold, has just begun. Listen. Can you hear it? In the space between these words, in the stillness of your own heart, the deep, resonant hum of the universe waiting for you in the quiet, the sound of your silence.